Welcome, everyone. This is your friend, the DN What If, here with another exciting fanfiction. Today, we're diving into the story of What If Deku Had a Harem with Nejire? If you enjoy this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more fanfiction content just like this. Now, let's get started with the fanfic. It was a nice and warm night as Izuku walked back home from another mission. Man, even though I usually work in the dark and sleep whenever I want to, those missions really tire me out, he stated as he walked through an alley towards his home. After a while he saw someone running, as well as shouts and small explosions. "What is that I'm hearing?" he said silently. "Don't let him escape." He heard from behind him. Right as Izuku turned around, a kid around the age of 8 ran past him. The boy gave a quick glance to Izuku but kept running. Izuku was too shocked to react as then a few men ran past him. "We have to capture him," one of the men shouted. "That boy." His eyes were full of fear. Izuku managed to bring out. He then quickly turned back around and ran after them. Since Izuku did a lot of hero work, he gained a lot of power and speed in his body, as well as endurance, so it didn't take Izuku long to catch up. "Get back here, you brat. Our boss wants to see you," one of them shouted. "Leave me alone," Izuku shouted. Izuku noticed that the guy at the front was creating fireball in the air. Izuku wanted to erase his quirk but couldn't because of the other men in front of him. The fireball shot towards Izuku, however he noticed them in time and charged his lightning around him. Izuku then jumped from wall to dodge the fireball. Eventually he took a turn but noticed it was a dead end. He kept on running even though there was no way out. "We've got you now," the men shouted. Fireball were shot at Izuku again, however he kept running in a straight line as he ran up the wall and jumped. He flipped a few times before landing behind Izuku as he then ran away again. "Who might you be?" one of the men said. "Why are you after that kid?" Izuku asked as he ignored the question. "None of your business, now get lost before you get killed," the man stated as his arms and fingers became sharp like knives. "I'd like to see you try," Izuku stated as the man then charged at him. Izuku activated his quirk to undo the man's quirk and pummeled him. "Next one, tell me, why are you after that kid?" Izuku asked again. We're just following orders, man," one of the men stated. "I see, next question, who is your boss?" Izuku asked. "Oh no way, our boss is way scarier than you are," the man stated as he just surrendered without telling anything else. Izuku turned around but Izuku was gone. "I wonder why he was running and who it was. He didn't look that old to me. I wonder if he's going to be okay," Izuku thought as he then called the police to let them pick up the bad guys. Meanwhile at Izuku he was still running. He didn't know where to, he just ran. Eventually he stopped at a giant pond in the park. He walked down the hill and sat close to the water. Izuku was a little boy. At the moment he's still 8 years old, and has been on the run for over a year. He didn't know what happened to his mother. Izuku and his mother were attacked when he was 7, and the attackers were after Izuku. His mom bought him some time to get away, but he never found out what happened to her. He did know that more people came hunting him afterwards and that it was happening for over a year already. "I wonder how mom is doing and how long I can keep this up," Izuku stated as he pulled his legs to his face, while placing his arms on his knees and then placing his head on his arms. "I've gotten more used to using my quirk in that past year though. They never managed to catch me. I normally run using my own speed, and only use it when I need to, but maybe it's time I learn to fight back properly. I can use it a bit to fight, but I'll need to learn how to fight," Izuku stated as he clenched his fist. Time skip 8 years. Again the sound of running filled the alleys, but instead of an 8-year-old Izuku running from people that wanted to catch him, Izuku was injured and was running to stay alive. "Ding, how many of them are there? I defeated at least 30 of them. But there is still so many of them," Izuku stated as he kept running. He had cuts on his arms as well as a slash on his back. He also had bruises and burn marks on his body. Izuku was ambushed by a big group of villains out of the blue, and even while being outnumbered he beat 30 villains. However, when they went down, more showed up. But Izuku had changed since he started running 9 years ago. He became able to fight with his quirk. But he also got more quiet as he actually rarely talked anymore. He almost barely showed any emotion. Izuku quickly jumped between walls as he landed on a roof and kept running. A few of the villains also got on the roof and chased him. One of those villains was a man named Muscular. "Come on, brat, stop running already," he shouted. Izuku looked behind him and saw Muscular running behind him with a few other villains. Izuku then used his quirk as he jumped from roof to roof as lightning swirled around him. "This kid is such a pain in the butt," Muscular stated, a bit frustrated. Meanwhile, Aizawa was in his classroom, Class 1A. "Welcome, class. I'll be your homeroom teacher from now on," Aizawa stated. "I still can't believe Izuku didn't get into UA. He was always so hell-bent on becoming a hero," Bakugo stated. "Izuku? Who is that?" Aizawa asked. "He's a childhood friend of mine, however he went missing when he was 7, Bakugo explained. "7? Can you tell me more about him?" Aizawa asked. "Sure, he has big green hair and freckles on his face, but I guess the best way to recognize him is his quirk," Bakugo stated. "That all sounds familiar," Aizawa thought. "What's his quirk?" Aizawa asked. "He has a lightning quirk," Bakugo stated as Aizawa was surprised. "Then it might be him I saw back then," Aizawa stated. "Wait, what?" Bakugo shouted as he got up. 8 years ago, I went home from a mission. I heard some yells, running and explosions, and a kid that looked like the description you gave me passed me by. He got away with a lightning quirk," Aizawa explained. "That's definitely Izuku. Where is he now?" Bakugo asked, a bit worked up. The class was a bit shocked. Even when everyone walked in, Bakugo was an arrogant prick, however he actually cared about this. "I honestly don't know. That time was the only time I saw him. I don't know how he's doing or where Aizawa stated as suddenly something shot through the window into the class. Tables and chairs were pushed away, and some students were pushed away as well, but the window was broken, and there was a bit of a smoke screen covering whatever crashed into the wall. Suddenly someone ran out of the smoke. It was Izuku. Aizawa immediately recognized him, and so did Bakugo. "Izuku!" they both shouted. Izuku glanced at them but still ran away as Muscular jumped inside with his body covered in muscle veins. He saw Izuku running out of the door as he quickly ran after him. "I'll still get you, you little runt," he shouted as he ran after Izuku. The other teachers heard the loud noise and made it to the hallway. They saw Izuku running and thought he was the person responsible, so they tried blocking him. Izuku noticed this but charged his quirk as he used the walls and even the roof to make it past the teachers. Izuku kept running through the halls but felt like he was running in circles. Suddenly a wall broke down and Muscular appeared from it. "I'm tired of you running around all the time," he stated as he grabbed Izuku's head and slammed him through another wall. Muscular then kept running forward and crashed Izuku through another wall, however this time they got outside, even if it was a few floors higher. Muscular threw Izuku to the ground, but Izuku managed to regain his balance and landed safely, however so did Muscular, but there was more bad news. All the villains that were after him had caught up and surrounded him. "Now there is nowhere left for you to run," Muscular stated. "Teeth," was all Izuku responded to Muscular as he charged himself in lightning. Class 1A was looking out of the window as Izuku was surrounded. They were shocked by what suddenly happened, but they were also worried. They didn't know Izuku, however a kid versus so many villains was never a good thing. Bakugo wanted to jump outside and help him, however Aizawa stopped him. "Let me go. I have to help him," Bakugo said. "You can't, there is too many for you to face, and the big guy is called Muscular. He killed a lot of pros before. We don't know about the others, their quirks, or how they fight. Let us teachers handle this," Aizawa stated as he ran through the door outside. Bakugo kept watching while gritting his teeth. Izuku took a fighting stance as he glanced around him at all the villains, but none of them moved. Izuku looked at Muscular, who was just smiling like a maniac. "So you're gonna fight now? Well, at least it's better than running, but what do you think you can do, kid?" Muscular stated, however Izuku didn't respond. "The silent treatment, huh? I can live with that. Let's make our fists do the talking," Muscular stated as he charged forward at Izuku. Izuku jumped as he placed a hand on Muscular's head and pushed himself up in time to dodge fireball and icicle spears. "They're not even fighting fair," Uraraka stated. "True, but look at how calm he is," Ida stated. "Yeah, it's like this is normal for him," Azui stated. Izuku landed again and jumped back. Muscular charged at him again. However, Izuku backflipped to dodge the punch. He began flipping in the air when he suddenly spreaded his body and lightning shot from his body to all of the villains. The villains surrounding him tried dodging it, however were still hit by the lightning as the lightning just bended towards them. Muscular, however, didn't really notice that attack as he blocked it with the veins covering his body. It's not a bad attack, it might work on those weaklings, however it won't work on me, Muscular stated. It wasn't to take you out, but them. The real fight starts now, Izuku stated as he looked serious. Izuku then disappeared and appeared again just a few centimeters away from Muscular as punched Muscular between the lungs. This made Muscular cough, as he was then also struck by lightning. "You brat, you'll pay for that!" Muscular shouted. Izuku jumped backwards, but Muscular followed him as he tried punching Izuku. However, right as the punch was about to hit Izuku, he jumped sideways to dodge. Muscular went after him again and tried again. However, every time Muscular tried attacking, Izuku jumped sideways or backwards to avoid the blow. "Stop mocking me!" Muscular shouted as all the teachers made it outside. However, once they made it outside, they noticed the villains on the ground and Izuku dodging all of Muscular's moves. "I told you to stop mocking me!" Muscular shouted in anger, throwing another punch. This time Izuku stood his ground and caught the fist. Muscular then threw another punch, however this one was also caught. Izuku held his fists tightly. "Let go of me, you little brat, I'll make sure to kill you," Muscular stated. "Keep talking big, it'll only make you look weak," Izuku stated as he tightened his grip on the fists as Muscular was then struck with a lightning strike again. Muscular kept being damaged by lightning as Izuku used it through his hands. Eventually he let go of Muscular as Muscular then wobbly took a few steps back. "You little sure," he stated before collapsing. "Tsh, another plan in a failure," Kurogiri stated as he suddenly showed up. Kurogiri glanced at Izuku as Muscular and the other villains then were taken away. Izuku closed his eyes and fell on his butt. "Are you alright, kid?" He heard someone ask. Right as he looked, he saw Midnight sitting on her knees. He only nodded and looked away. "You've got some nasty injuries, let's get you fixed up," she stated as she approached him. Izuku noticed this and jumped up while taking a few steps back. "It's alright, we don't want to harm you, we just want to get you fixed up, you can do whatever you want after that," Aizawa stated. Izuku looked at him and recognized him. Izuku nodded and followed Aizawa to Recovery Girl, who kissed him with her quirk to heal him. "I've healed you with my quirk, however it will drain some of your energy because my quirk speeds up the healing process and that takes a lot of energy," Recovery Girl explained. Izuku just nodded. Izuku then stood up. "Didn't you hear me? You should rest. You've lost a lot of energy with just healing those wounds," Recovery Girl stated, a bit worked up. "I've got energy enough, thanks for treating my wounds," Izuku stated as he walked out of the room. "So where are you going now?" Aizawa asked. "I don't know," he said. "You can always stay here at Yua," Aizawa stated. Izuku thought for a little but then walked away. "We'll meet again, I'm sure of it." Izuku had walked away from Yue, but ever since that day he hadn't been attacked anymore. Izuku had been walking through the city peacefully for a few days now. Izuku had been to his former house very often, however he never saw his mother there. To be exact, nothing changed since the day he left. "I wonder if she got away? Or maybe she got taken away, worst case scenario she got killed," Izuku thought. "But for some reason I haven't been attacked anymore, they either think I'm too strong, or they are planning something else." Izuku jumped on a roof and went from roof to roof. Ever since he was on the run from the villain groups, he also fought villains that attacked others, so he was basically almost every day fighting day in day out. This however helped him gain a tremendous amount of stamina, and it helped with him string his quirk as well as powering it up. "I should have apologized for breaking Yue's windows though, I just shot inside and got attacked. We even broke down walls. Maybe I should go and apologize," Izuku thought. He then made his way towards Yue. On his way he took a few small villains out, but that was just a sweep and it was done. Eventually he reached the walls of Yue, but then he saw a bus leave. He noticed Aizawa in the front. "I wonder where they are going, I recognize that man from years ago, did he save me then? Or did he want to capture me as well? But then again, if he wanted to capture me, he wouldn't have just let me go like he did," Izuku thought. "Maybe I should follow them and see what they are going to do," I can also apologize to him about breaking the windows and the walls, Izuku thought as he then jumped on a roof again with his quirk. Even though the bus was quite a bit ahead, Izuku could still see it and follow it. He didn't really rush to follow them and he only used his quirk to jump towards the next roof. Once Izuku got closer though he heard a lot of commotion, and when he saw the place where the bus had stopped, he noticed a student running out a bit panicked with fear in his eyes. I wonder what's going on there, Izuku thought. He jumped down and ran towards the door where the student had run away from and noticed Kurogiri disappearing and a hero on the ground. Izuku walked inside. He saw a few students standing around the pro hero that was down. The students noticed Izuku. "Hey, it's you from the other day," Uraraka stated. Izuku glanced at her then walked forward towards the stairs and looked downstairs. He noticed Aizawa fighting villains, but he also saw Azui and Mineta watching while hiding. Izuku however then turned his attention to Kurogiri who appeared next to Tamura Shigaraki. He could hear them talk, even from way over at the entrance. That was thanks to being on the run from villains for years. He learned how to hear the smallest of sounds. This also made him able to hear talking from a large distance. "I'm sorry, Tamura Shigaraki, one of them found an opening to escape," Kurogiri stated. Tamura Shigaraki, Izuku stated silently, however the students could still hear him, but they wondered what he meant. "Kurogiri, if you weren't so useful, I would have killed you right here and now," Tamura stated. "Shigaraki and Kurogiri," Izuku then stated as if he told himself their names so he would remember. "Oh well, let's kill some of those kids before All Might arrives. It will certainly be entertaining to see All Might's face when he notices his dear students crumbled to dust," Tamura stated. "Nomu, get rid of that pro over there," Tamura stated. Izuku frowned. "What is that thing?" He called it a Nomo, but it just looks way too buff to be able to do anything, Izuku thought. Suddenly the Nomu disappeared and appeared behind Aizawa as it smashed him from the side, breaking his right arm. Aizawa laid on the ground. He tried erasing the Nomu's quirk, but it slammed on Aizawa's left arm, breaking it like it was a little twig. Izuku gritted his teeth after seeing this. He then saw Tamura move. Tamura suddenly appeared in front of Azui as he tried grabbing her face. However, before he did, Aizawa used his quirk to erase Tamura's quirk. "Pros are just so cool," Tamura stated as he let go of her head and tried again. The Nomu then smashed Aizawa's head into the ground. Seeing how Aizawa tried to keep his students safe even though both his arms were broken with an enemy on his back made him remember how his mother tried buying him time to escape. Izuku couldn't hold back any longer as he suddenly created a bow made of lightning. "Wow, that's amazing," Uraraka stated. Izuku glanced at her and aimed. "Lightning arrow split shot," Izuku stated calmly as his lightning arrow shot forward at incredible speed, then halfway it blasted open creating multiple lightning arrows as this shot through all the villains on the ground. It also pierced Tamura's arm, as well as the Nomu's back. Tamura pulled back his numb arm. Azui and Mineta quickly looked to where the shot came from and saw Izuku standing there with a bow of lightning. Izuku then aimed at the Nomu. "Lightning arrow, exploding thunder," he stated as he shot the arrow towards the Nomu. Once it reached its back it exploded which blowed the Nomu away. "Wow," all the students behind Izuku stated. Suddenly he disappeared from next to them and appeared next to Aizawa. Izuku lifted Aizawa up. "Thanks for blowing that thing off me and saving my students," Aizawa stated. Izuku just nodded. "That's Izuku Midoriya," Kurogiri stated. "The Emser wants him, but he'll have to do it from his dead body. No one attacks me like that and survives it," Tamura shouted. "Nomu, get back here and kill this brat." Once Tamura shouted that, the Nomu suddenly appeared in front of Izuku. However, Izuku wasn't surprised, nor did he look. The Nomu then slammed right at him. However, when the punch was about to land, Izuku disappeared and appeared in front of Azui and Mineta. He lifted them up and then appeared upstairs again, and placed them down. Izuku then channeled the lightning through his body and jumped downstairs. "So tell me, what do you have to gain from saving those kids? You're all alone, you've got no one, so why save them?" Kurogiri asked. Izuku didn't respond. The only response he gave was showing lightning around him. "Still the silent type I see," Kurogiri stated. "Are you done chatting, Kurogiri? Then we can kill this little brat," Tamura stated. Nomu get him. Tamura stated as the Nomu then shot to Izuku. Izuku jumped to the side to dodge, however the Nomu didn't stop as he kept charging at Izuku, however Izuku was faster and managed to dodge every hit. All of the students at the entrance were watching in amazement. Aizawa was also looking as he laid on his back. That kid is incredible. It's hard to believe that he was that scared boy from back then, but those 8 years did change him. He almost doesn't show any emotion in his face, and he became so quiet, Aizawa thought. He's a bigger pain than others. Nomu time to get serious? Tamura stated as the Nomu suddenly gained a lot of speed and was actually able to keep up a little bit with Izuku. Izuku said with a slight smile. If he can keep up, then it's time I start countering, Izuku thought. Nomu threw a punch at Izuku, however Izuku countered it by punching Nomu's fist. This created a shockwave of power, as well as a small discharge of lightning. Izuku then kicked the Nomu's leg as it lost its balance. Izuku then pulled it over his shoulder and smashed it into the ground. The crash created a small crater in the ground. Izuku then jumped back to create some distance, that way he wouldn't be hit by a surprise attack. Or so he thought. The moment he landed, the Nomu appeared behind him. When Izuku noticed the Nomu, it slammed down on him from behind. Izuku managed to block, however the force made him crack through the ground a little. Izuku then placed his hand on its chest. Raging thunder, Izuku stated as Nomu was struck by multiple lightning strikes as lightning also shot from Izuku's body towards it. The Nomu began to smoke from the lightning as it took a few steps back while its arms hang limply beside its body. What's happening, Nomu? Tamura stated. Damn it. You were supposed to be able to kill All Might, don't you dare lose to this little brat. Tamura shouted as he ran towards Izuku. He tried grabbing Izuku, however Izuku deflected the hand and wanted to counter but was sent flying before he could. Izuku crashed into the roof as he then slowly fell down. He opened his eyes and saw the Nomu coming from him as it slammed him towards the ground. Izuku used his lightning to keep him in the air just before he hit the ground, that way he would at least avoid that damage. See, Nomu is a lot stronger than you might think. Tamura stated. You can't kill it, not only does it have shock absorption, it also regenerates itself. The only way to kill it is to burn its flesh away, cut its flesh off. Tamura stated. Should have said that from the start, Izuku stated as he covered his hands in lightning while creating claws from it. Izuku launched at the Nomu again and slashed its chest. There were slashing marks on its chest, and not only did the Nomu become numb from the attack, his wound wasn't healing. No way! That's working? Tamura shouted. Kurogyri, he then shouted. Kurogyri then created multiple warp portals around Izuku. Nomu jumped into one with a lot of speed. He suddenly appeared from the warp on Izuku's left. Izuku barely dodged it as the Nomu disappeared in another portal. He then appeared behind him and tried punching again. Izuku grabbed its arm and threw it away. He then stopped his claws and created a bow of lightning. Paralyzed shot. Izuku stated as he shot Kurogyri with it. Once he got hit with it, the portals disappeared. I can't activate my quirk, Kurogyri stated as his whole body became numb. Damn it, how are we losing to a little brat like him? At that moment, the teachers got inside with All Might up front and Ida to the side. I've come back with backup, Ida shouted. Nizu and the teachers then noticed the state 13 and Aizawa were in. They noticed 13 was unconscious, however Aizawa kept looking downstairs. All of the teachers did the same and noticed Izuku standing in front of the villains while lightning sometimes charged around him. Suddenly the Nomu appeared again and slammed on Izuku, who blocked it. The Nomu then gave an incredibly strong and fast barrage, however Izuku was able to block, even counter every punch with a punch of his own. What kind of monsters are they? Midnight asked. This is no time to stand here and watch. The students have been split up. Everyone go towards the facilities and rescue the students. All Might please help that young boy fight, Nizu stated. Yes, sir. They all stated as they split up. All Might jumped downstairs, however right as he did, the Nomu suddenly appeared in front of him, already throwing a punch, however this was stopped as Izuku kicked the Nomu to the head, smashing it into the ground. Thank you, young man, All Might stated as Izuku just glanced and concentrated on the fight. Young man, What do you think about us fighting together to defeat this thing? All Might asked, holding out his hand. Izuku looked at him, then at All Might's hand. All right, Izuku stated as he grabbed All Might's hand. However, a little bit of lightning shot through his hand towards All Might's hand. He felt the shock but didn't pull back. This kid is very powerful. He's been fighting this thing on his own, something that left the teachers in that state, All Might thought. Step back for a bit, Izuku stated. All Might took a step back as Izuku placed his hands on the ground. All Might could tell Izuku was placing a lot of power in his attack. Suddenly the ground cracked open, even underneath the Nomu, and a line of lightning appeared from underneath it as it launched the Nomu up. It fell to the ground, but even as it laid on the ground, lightning was still swirling around it. You really are powerful, young man, All Might stated. Thanks, Izuku stated. Let's finish this thing, he added as the Nomu got up. Right. All Might stated as they then both started a barrage of punches on the Nomu. All Might's punches held a lot of force, where Izuku's punches also held a great amount of force, but also lightning in it which numbed the Nomu's body bit by bit. After a few punches they started to notice that the punches were starting to have an effect. What's going on? He has shock absorption? He should be able to handle all this. Tamura stated, shocked. I see, normally it would, however shock absorb has a limit to what it can absorb, but Izuku's blows are counting as double hits. Not only does his punch count, but his lightning as well, Kurogiri stated. Can you keep up at this speed? Izuku asked as he punched even faster. All Might didn't stay behind and matched Izuku's speed even though he had trouble to do so. All Might then pulled back for a final punch as Izuku charged his lightning. Plus Ultra! All Might shouted as he punched the Nomu one last time. At the same time Izuku used his move. Dragon Thunder! He stated as fierce lightning shot towards the Nomu. Both attacks reached him at the same time, launching it away at tremendous speed. All Might was breathing quite a bit. Nomu was created to take him on in his prime at 100%. In order to beat that, All Might had to use more than 100% for every blow, and to top it off, he had to match Izuku's speed. This really took a toll on All Might and his power. No. This can't be happening. Tamura shouted. I'll kill you myself. Tamura shouted as he ran at All Might. All Might got into a fighting stance even though he reached his limit. However, before Tamura actually reached All Might, Izuku appeared in front of Tamura, punching him in the gut as lightning then also charged through Tamura's body. The punch hurt like hell, and the lightning made Tamura's body numb, making it hard for him to move. This is it, villains, All Might stated. You've got nowhere to run to, and you're outnumbered, he added. Kurogiri! Tamura stated as Kurogiri managed to get the paralyze arrow out of his body. Kurogiri quickly wrapped his warping power around Tamura and vanished. It's finally over, All Might stated. Izuku just turned around and walked towards the stairs. He was bruised at places but didn't have a serious injury. Where are you going? All Might asked in half-skinny form. I don't know, Izuku stated. Then why not come to UA with us? All Might asked. Izuku turned around and looked at him. It seems to me you don't have anywhere to go, and maybe it would be better to stay in a place filled with heroes and training than on your own in the streets, especially with those villains after you, All Might stated. That's true, Izuku stated. Just come with us, we could use a hero with your power and skill, All Might stated with a smile. All right, Izuku answered shortly. Not long after the battle, the ambulances showed up as they took Aizawa and 13 to the hospital. All Might quickly got away as his secret was about to be revealed to all the students. Nizu heard about Izuku from Aizawa the other day, and he was told by All Might that Izuku would be coming to UA with them. Hello there, my name is Nizu, can I ask what your name is? The bear-slash-mouse-like creature stated. I'm Izuku, Izuku answered. Hello Izuku, it's nice to meet you, shall we go to UA? Nizu asked. Izuku just nodded. Well, let's get on the bus then, Nizu stated. Actually, I'd rather walk, it's not that far anyway, Izuku stated. That's fine too, I'll come with you, but is it alright if I borrow your shoulder then? I would like to talk to you and get to know more about you if that's alright, Nizu stated. Izuku nodded again. Class 1A heard that Izuku would be coming to UA as well, but little did they know. Izuku started walking back with Nizu on his shoulder. So Izuku, Can I ask? I heard one of my teachers, Izawa, encountered you 8 years ago. He told me you were on the run from people, but who were you running from? Nizu asked. Those were villains trying to get my power to their side. They wanted to force me to work for them, Izuku stated. I see. And how long has that been going on? Nizu asked. I've been running since I was 7. Some people caught wind of my power and tried to kidnap me. My mother shielded me so I could get away. I don't know what happened to her. However, ever since that day, I've been chased and attacked every day, Izuku stated. That's horrible. I'm sorry to hear that, Nizu stated. Is it true? Izuku asked. Is what true? Nizu asked. That I can join UA. Izuku stated. Well, if you really want a yes, you've shown you've got the heart of a hero by risking your lives for the students and teachers, and you've got a lot of power and skill. If you really want to become a hero, we'd gladly accept you, Nizu explained. All I ever wanted was to become a hero with my power, but I've changed. I'm only talking with you to explain things, but normally I'm very quiet, and I barely have any emotions left. However, my will to save others never stopped, Izuku stated. Tell me, Izuku, I've been hearing rumors lately about a mystery person with a lightning quirk that takes down villains in a flash. That's you, right? Nizu asked. Yeah, Izuku stated shortly. I see. They also have quite some names for you, Oswell, Nizu stated. Like what? Izuku asked a bit curious. Nizu smiled as he awakened some curiosity in Izuku. Names like Lightning Flash, and I also heard people refer to you as Reiko. It said it's the name of a Japanese thunder god. People actually started calling you that because you appear and disappear in the blink of an eye, all while defeating the villains, Nizu explained. I like Reiko, Izuku stated. Well, why not make that be your hero name then? Nizu asked. That's an idea, Izuku answered. Where will I be staying when I join you? Like what class? And do you have somewhere where the students have to live? Is it really all right for someone to join mid-year? Izuku asked. You'll be joining Class 1A, they have an empty spot, and you've already met them. As for the living part, we have a dorm system where a class stays in one dorm, all with separate rooms. Of course, you'll be staying there. Oswell form now on, Nizu explained. And don't worry about joining mid-year, we allowed you to join UA. If it wasn't alright we wouldn't have said so in the first place, Nizu stated. Alright then. Izuku answered as they then walked back to UA. On their way to UA, Izuku noticed a burglar. Izuku created a bow of lightning as he aimed at the burglar. Nizu just sat on his shoulder watching closely. He was very interested to see what Izuku could do. Lightning chain shot, Izuku said as he shot the arrow towards the burglar. The moment it reached the burglar, the lightning arrow bursted open as then wrapped around the burglar like chains. The burglar was then captured by the police, and the stolen bag was brought back to the owner. Thank you very much. The person stated to Izuku as he just nodded. That was very impressive, Izuku, Nizu stated. Thank you, I can make a bow made of lightning and even have some moves for it. I can use my lightning in long-ranged and close combat, even without the bow, but it helps with things like this, Izuku stated. After that Izuku continued walking to UA. Once they arrived, the teachers were waiting for Nizu and Izuku to arrive. Welcome back, sir, and welcome to UA, Izuku Midnight stated. Thanks, Izuku stated soft but silently. Izuku was then brought to his dorm. First he was shown to his room so he knew where he would be sleeping. After that the teachers and Nizu left and Izuku was left with Class 1A. Izuku didn't really know what to do there, so he just sat down in the couch. All the students were surprised to see him there. I'm apparently a new classmate of yours, Izuku stated. Awesome. Mina shouted. Welcome to the club. She shouted. What's your name? Uraraka asked. Izuku Midoriya, he answered. Afterwards everyone introduced themselves as well as their quirks. So Izuku, what was that lightning bow you used back there? Uraraka asked excited. Izuku then stood up and created the bow again. It's a bow made from my quirk. I also got some special moves with it, Izuku stated. I can fight both close and long-ranged with my quirk. Awesome. I also have an electric quirk, but I can't use it like you do, Kaminari stated. Really? Touch my finger with your fingertip, Izuku stated. Why? Kaminari asked. Izuku didn't say anything and just sat there holding out his hand. Kaminari then placed his fingertip on Izuku's finger as there was a spark between them, however this discharged Kaminari's lightning which fried his brain. Yay yay, he said with a stupid face as Jiru then laughed. Everyone else started laughing as well except for Izuku who looked with a blank face. Some of the students got a bit worried by that. Izuku! They heard coming from the stairs. Everyone including Izuku looked towards the stairs as Bakugo stood there. Hi Bakugo, Izuku said. So it really is you. Where have you been? You've been away for 9 years. Bakugo almost yelled. Izuku's face turned from blank to a bit sad. Everywhere, he answered. After you disappeared, Inko disappeared as well. No one has seen her since. Do you know where she is? Bakugo asked. No, Izuku answered. Wait, what's going on? You guys know each other? Kirishima asked. Yeah, Izuku stated shortly. We've been childhood friends, however when we turned 7, Izuku suddenly disappeared, and so did his mother, Bakugo stated. What happened to you and your mother? Azui asked a bit concerned. When I was 7, my mom and I got attacked. My mom shielded me from the villains so I could escape. I haven't seen her since, Izuku explained. Everyone looked a bit worried. What have you been doing those past 9 years then? Azui asked. Surviving, he answered. Ever since that day, I've been running and fighting every day as villains chased me, just like the day I first got to you, Izuku explained. So the attack from back then wasn't the first? Momo asked. It's been like that every day for 9 years straight, Izuku stated as they all had wide eyes. Well, I guess that's why you're not tired after fighting so intense, Ojiro stated. You gain a lot of stamina by running and fighting every day, Izuku answered. So now you joined UA? Bakugo asked. Yep, Izuku stated. You don't talk that much, do you? Terest. I talk now to answer questions. I barely talked at all the past years. I don't even know what smiling and fun are anymore, but I've gotten very quiet, apart from answering questions, Izuku stated. I'm just glad you're alive and in UA now, Bakugo stated. Who would have thought that Bakugo can actually be nice if he tried, Azui stated, making everyone laugh except Izuku and Bakugo. What did you say, you DMN frog? Bakugo yelled. Well, we have some time to get to know each other. Because of the villain attack, we've been given some free time from school till Monday. Momo explained. The days passed pretty quickly. Everyone stayed at the dorm, just talking and getting to know each other. Izuku didn't really speak to anyone, he only listened and answered questions. Monday finally arrived and it was Izuku's first day at school. He was a bit nervous since he really didn't know what to expect, however that tension was broken once Aizawa walked in like a mummy covered in bandages. Good morning class, glad to see you're all doing well, Izuku good to see you again too, and thanks again for saving us, Aizawa stated. No problem, I'm sorry for wrecking the windows and walls the other day. Izuku stated. That's been handled, don't worry about it. You might not know me yet, I'm Aizawa, hero name Eraserhead, I'm your homeroom teacher, Aizawa stated. After that classes started, at first Izuku had trouble keeping up since he was at least a week behind, however he caught up pretty fast and easily, even without studying for 9 years. Then it was time for lunch break. Everyone went to the cafeteria to grab some food. Everyone had their groups who they were sitting with. Izuku just grabbed some food and sat alone. So, and what do we have here? Someone suddenly said from besides Izuku. I've heard they accepted someone mid-school year. I heard he protected a group of students from a villain attack, but I doubt it's true. You look like a wimp. The boy next to him said. Izuku didn't respond and kept eating his food without giving the bullies any attention. Everyone else was watching them. You don't even have the courage to say something back? You're that much of a coward. The guy said. There is no point talking to someone who's not worth it, Izuku stated. Quite a big mouth for a wimp. But the people who should really be ashamed of themselves should be class 1A. He shouted as Izuku looked towards him angrily. I mean, come on, aiming to become heroes and all they could do was send one person running back with his tail between his legs just to get back up, he stated. Ida clenched his fist while gritting his teeth trying to hold himself in. I'd bet if you faced what we did, you'd be pissing your breaths even now, Azui stated. So the pathetic losers think they can make a fool of me? The boy asked as he suddenly got the legs of a leopard and appeared in front of Azui. However, when he got there, Izuku already stood next to him. Try it, I'll show you fear, Izuku stated. Everyone was shocked by the sudden change in Izuku. For everyone's information, Class 1A wasn't pathetic or a coward. Sure, they were scared, but everyone is scared by what they faced. It was their first week, and they saw their teachers getting hurt and being beaten. Some of them were scattered around, but they were fighting. However, we faced a creature that could kill All Might. There is nothing wrong with fearing something that's created to be able to kill the number one hero, Izuku stated. I heard you fought that thing on your own until the teachers arrived, someone said from behind the bullies. Izuku looked and saw a blonde guy with a cartoonish face and a cowlick Mirio standing behind the bully. That's true, Izuku answered. Haha, and I have to believe that this puny weakling is as strong as All Might? Don't make me laugh. The bully stated. Believe it or not, but this boy is on the same LVL as All Might. He might even be able to beat All Might with that quirk and his skill, Aizawa stated as he walked in. So you even made the teachers believe such a thing? The bully stated. Izuku just ignored it. Hey, I'm talking to you, you should have some more respect to your upperclassmen, the boy stated. Respect is earned, not forced, Izuku stated as this set the guy off. Seems I need to teach it to you, he stated as claws formed on his hands. Leave him alone. They heard a long blue-haired girl Nejire say. Shut up and stay out of this, the boy stated as Izuku stared at Nejire. Nejire looked at him with a curious look and then smiled. She then turned towards the boy again. He's done nothing wrong, so leave him be, she stated. Fine, I'll start with you then. The boy stated as he suddenly charged at Nejire. However, once he arrived there, she was gone. The bully looked behind him and saw Izuku holding Nejire at the spot he was standing at before. How did he? The bully shouted. He turned his body around and wanted to launch, but once he had turned around, he felt lightning close to his skin. When he looked, Izuku's hand was covered in lightning, which created a claw, and the claw was placed in front of the bully's throat. Do you still not believe what people said? Or do you need to feel my power for yourself? Just say so and I'll give you the full force of it, Izuku stated calmly. Everyone was shocked by how fast and calm Izuku was. However, the bully started to piece his breathes. And then you call my classmates pathetic? You would have died in seconds if you faced what they did, Izuku stated as he walked away. The bully got sad and tried attacking Izuku but was suddenly hit by an energy beam. Izuku looked up and saw it was Nejire that attacked the bully. She looked at Izuku while giving him a wink and a smile. Izuku kept staring at her as then a small smile formed on his face. I don't know what it is, but something about this girl makes me want to smile. She's so bright, so beautiful, even by looking at her I can see that she's a very kind girl, Izuku thought as he kept staring. It seems our Izuku has a bit of an interest in Nejire, Nizu said silently on Aizawa's shoulder as Aizawa nodded. Well, he smiled a little, so it's a start to him opening up, but he is definitely interested in her, Aizawa stated. The bell rang and everyone went back to their classes. However, Izuku couldn't help it and was still staring at Nejire. Hey, sorry for the trouble he caused, she suddenly said as she walked towards him. It's alright, thanks for having my back, Izuku stated. It felt nice someone actually having my back for once, he added. She looked at him curious. Say, do you want to hang out after school? We could talk some more, you seem really interesting and I'd love to know more about you, Nejire stated. Sure, you'll have to pick me up somewhere though because I don't really know the way here, Izuku explained. I'll pick you up in front of the school after school. She stated. Alright, see you then, Izuku stated. Oh, by the way, what's your name? He asked. Nejire Hado, and yours? She asked. Izuku Midoriya, he answered. Alright, see you later, Izuku. She said with another smile and wink as she danced a little in Alice then ran off. She stopped for a little bit, looked back at him and gave him one last bright smile before she was gone. School was over. Izuku was standing in front of the school waiting for Nejire. Everyone was looking at him curiously as they saw that he was actually waiting for someone. After a while more students walked out, as the guy from lunch break also walked out. When he saw Izuku, he looked a bit scared and quickly walked back to the dorm. Hey Izuku, hope you haven't been waiting long. Snipe had to explain something before we were allowed to go, Nejire stated as she walked out. Hey Nejire, no I haven't, good to see you, Izuku stated. Wait, did I really say that? Why would I do that? I don't even know her, he then thought. Well, I'm glad to see you too again, she stated with a smile. Hey, Izuku was it? Mirio stated as he also walked towards them. Yeah, what's your name? Izuku asked. My name is Mirio, I'm sorry for not introducing earlier, and I'm sorry for my classmate his behavior, Mirio stated. It's alright, Izuku answered. Oh yeah, this here is Tamaki, he's a bit shy and doesn't talk much, Mirio stated as Tamaki nodded. Is it alright if we join you guys for a little bit? I'm quite curious about you, Izuku. Don't worry, we won't stay that long, we just wanted to know a bit more about you, Mirio explained. I'm fine with it, but it depends on what Nejire wants, Izuku stated. Well, I don't mind, but I really wanted to talk to you one-on-one, she stated a bit sad. Don't worry, we won't stay that long, I just wanted to ask a few things, Mirio stated as Nejire then got a smile again. So, where do you want to go and talk? Nejire then asked. Somewhere nice and quiet, so I can relax a bit, Oswell, Izuku stated. It sounds like the park of UA is a good spot then, you can enjoy the weather there, people do come there but only walk by, and you can choose to either sit on a picnic table or just lay down in the grass, Mirio explained. Sounds great, Izuku answered. They then walked towards UA's park. Once there, Izuku immediately walked towards a big open spot with grass and just let him fall backwards as he enjoyed the cool breeze, as well as the sweet weather and sun, but mostly the silence, no students or teachers constantly talking about boring stuff, and the best thing of all, he didn't have to watch his shoulder the whole time or focus on anything he heard, he could finally relax. This is great, Izuku stated. Seems like it's your first time for this? Mirio asked. Actually, I've laid like this a lot when I was a kid, but yeah, it's been a long time, Izuku stated. So, what did you want to ask Mirio? Izuku asked. Actually, I was wondering what your quirk was, and how you got in UA while the year had already started, Mirio explained. Don't get me wrong, I don't have anything against you, but it made me curious. You didn't take the entrance exam, and you didn't get in by recommendations. From what I heard, Aizawa and Nizu asked you themselves, Mirio explained. Well, I guess it does raise some questions, at least you ask about it instead like that other guy, Izuku stated. Izuku held up his hand and activated his quirk as he then made lightning appear around his hand. Ah, you've got a lightning quirk. That's so cool. Mirio stated. But isn't that something completely different from what you did in the cafeteria? Mirio asked. You mean this? Izuku asked as the lightning covered his hand and created a lightning claw. Oh, so, that claw is actually your hand covered in lightning, that's so cool. Mirio explained. I can show you some more about my quirk if you want, Izuku stated. Sure, I'd love to see it, Mirio stated. I want to see too. It looks really interesting. Nejire explained. Izuku then got up and held out his hand as he suddenly created a bow of lightning. Lightning arrow split shot, he said as he shot an arrow of lightning as it suddenly bursted and created more arrows as they all shot in the middle of the trees. Wow, that's an amazing move, as well as incredible accuracy, that needs a lot of control. Mirio stated. I had a lot to practice on, Izuku stated a bit uncomfortable. Izuku then sat back down. So, how did you make in UA? I heard about Class 1A being attacked, and you mentioned something about it earlier, but we don't know the story, Mirio explained. I met Aizawa before, I was attacked by villains, and got launched into his classroom. I fought some villains and won. Aizawa then asked me if I wanted to join UA. I declined at the time, however the day of the attack I wanted to apologize for breaking the windows and walls, and noticed them going somewhere. I got curious and followed them, Izuku explained as he then laid on his back with his hands behind his head. Once I got closer, I saw one of the students run away from the building at high speed. He quickly got in and saw a teacher wounded on the floor, and Aizawa was being badly beaten. I recognized one of the villains as he was there on the previous attack on me. However, their leader was about to kill a student. I couldn't sit back any longer and join the fight. I also fought a creature that was able to kill All Might at 100%. He had a quick called Shock Absorb and Regeneration. My claws of lightning created wounds on it that didn't get healed, and my lightning quirk helped with his Shock Absorb. One hit of mine counted double. since the lightning was a hit on its own, we managed to beat it, but I decided it might be better to come to UA anyway, Izuku stated. So, why did you decline then but accepted now? Mirio then asked. Back then, I thought that if I stayed, they would be attacked, however even when I didn't stay, they still got attacked, so I decided to come since it would be safer with so many heroes around, but also to try and protect them, Izuku stated as he closed his eyes. Well, I gotta say, that's a nice reason to come here, but you also aim to become a hero, don't you? Mirio asked. Yeah, I don't want anyone to feel afraid or lose a loved one. I want to protect as many people as I can, Izuku stated. Mirio and Tamaki then got up. Well, thanks for your time and to answer my questions. Sadly we have to go now, but we'll see you later, Mirio stated. It was nice talking to you, Izuku. Till next time, he stated. Same here, he said as Mirio and Tamaki walked off. Well, you got me to yourself now, just like you wanted, Izuku joked, which made Nejire blush a little. Never mind, she stated flustered. Why did you want to be alone with me anyway? Izuku asked. Well, because you were interesting, but also because I had to think quite a bit about you ever since lunch break, so even though I asked you to hang out, I just wanted to be alone with you for a bit, she explained. Well, guess we were the same then. I had to think about you as well, Izuku stated. Really? Why did you have to think about me though? She stated with her cute, curious face. Your smile, he stated. What about my smile? Was something wrong with it? Did it look weird? She asked a bit flustered. It was bright, Izuku stated. What do you mean? She asked. I've only seen darkness for years, but your smile was really bright, Izuku stated, which made her blush. Also, you sounded very kind, and it gave me a nice feeling, and I guess you already know, but you're also very pretty, Izuku stated. Well, you are quite handsome yourself, you know, she stated, blushing. Izuku kept looking with a blank expression. Can I ask you a serious and maybe personal question? She asked. Sure, go ahead, Izuku stated. I noticed you don't really talk that much, and I haven't seen you smile once or show any emotion. What have you been doing before you got into UA? And Mirio might not have thought about it, but I wanted to ask, why were you attacked by villains? She asked, serious, concerned but also curious. I can answer your first question, however that will take some explaining. As for why they attacked me, I don't know, I guess because of my power, but I never understood why they kept targeting me like that, Izuku stated. That sounds like it wasn't the first time they attacked you, Nejire stated. Honestly, I've lost count of the times they attacked me, Izuku stated as this gave Nejire a frown. You wanted to know what I've been doing before UA, right? The short answer is, I've been surviving, Izuku stated. But I bet you still want to hear the story behind all of it, don't you? Izuku asked. Yeah, but you don't have to tell me if you don't want to, Nejire stated. It's alright, you don't feel like a bad person, I'll tell you, Izuku stated. That villain attack wasn't the first, but it also wasn't the first time I met Aizawa. In fact, I met Aizawa around 8 years ago. I was on the run from some villains, he defeated them, however I kept running, we only saw each other a little bit, Izuku explained. So you were attacked then too? Nejire asked. When I was 7, my mom and I were attacked because of my quirk. Villains wanted this power on their side. My mom shielded me so I got away. Ever since then, being attacked by villains was a daily thing, Izuku explained. Wait, so Nejire started. Yep, I've been fighting villains daily for 9 years total now, Izuku stated. That's insane, but didn't you have somewhere to go? Or someone to go to? Nejire asked. Nope, I was all on my own, he answered. That's also the reason I almost never show emotion, and also why I almost never talk out of my own, Izuku explained. And how did all that make you feel? Nejire asked. Izuku was a bit surprised as he never thought she would ask him that question. What do you mean? He asked. I mean, you've been alone for so long, didn't it feel lonely? Weren't you scared? She asked, a bit concerned. I had actually never really thought about it. I have been alone for years, but I really did feel lonely, and I was really scared, but if I showed it, or accept that feeling, then it would be over. My fear would keep me from acting, and I might have gotten killed because of it, Izuku stated. So, instead of losing your emotions, you started to keep it all bottled inside. that way you wouldn't show weakness and could survive that long, Nejire stated. Izuku then felt a bit uneasy from inside. What is she doing? Izuku thought. The place I lived in was very dark and cold, that's why I enjoyed the sun and the weather just now, and that's also why your smile is so bright, Izuku said as he sat up. Nejire then grabbed him softly and placed his head on her chest and hugged him. You're not alone anymore, and you're not in that dark cold place anymore, you're at UA now, with classmates, friends. I promise everything will now change for the better, Nejire stated. Izuku suddenly felt warm, but also tears welling up. Those feelings, they are overwhelming. Just what did she do to me? Izuku thought as tears streamed down his face. Nejire noticed this. That's good, you finally broke down the wall you built to keep yourself, from being human, Nejire stated. You can let it all out, I'm here for you and I'll stay with you, she stated. I guess these feelings are everything I held in for years, they are overwhelming. I felt so afraid, and alone and sad. 1. I feel so weak right now, Izuku stated as more and more tears streamed down his face. It's okay to be weak, it's okay to show emotion, weakness and emotion can help you get stronger, and don't worry about feeling weak right now, I'm here and I'll protect you when you feel weak, Nejire said. You're horrible, you barely know me, and already you make me cry like this, honestly it sucks to feel like this, but on the other side being held like this is really warm and comforting, Izuku stated. I noticed you closed yourself in, just looking at you, I knew you were a kind person, that's why we wanted to know about the fight you had against the villains to protect Class 1, we wanted to know what made an outside person act to save people, you acted like a hero and that alone tells us that you care about people, however from the outside it looked like you didn't care about anything and I immediately knew you closed yourself in, she stated. I feel bad for making you cry though. But then again, you can't go forward if you're still bottling up the past, she explained as she still held him close. It was silent for a while, Nejire kept holding Izuku and Izuku just laid against her like that. Some students walked past them and noticed the two, they stared at them, but Nejire didn't care and Izuku didn't see it. Suddenly Izuku broke the silence. Thank you. Nejire, Izuku stated. Thank you? Before you're allowed to feel emotion, silly. And I just really felt like hugging you, honestly I don't know what it is, I've never felt like this before, I just met you, but it just feels like I already care a great deal about you, and then there is the thinking about you in class, then I suddenly start hugging you like this, I must seem very strange right now, she stated. No, that's not true, you're amazing and very kind, actually I have the same as you, and honestly it feels nice being so close to you, Izuku explained. Well, I'm glad to hear that, Nejire stated. By the way, are you participating in the sports festival? Nejire asked. Sports festival? Not that I know of, I haven't heard anything about that actually, so I don't know, Izuku stated. Shall we ask? Nejire asked. Sure, let's go. Nejire felt happy as he said that, not because he said it, but because his words carried more emotion, it was much softer and more gentle, it also sounded happier. Izuku and Nejire then walked back to UA and went to the teacher's room. Once there he knocked on the door. Come in, he heard someone say. Izuku opened the door and noticed all the teachers sitting there as everyone looked at him. Hello? Sorry to disturb you, but I had a question, Izuku asked. Aizawa was surprised, he also noticed the difference in Izuku almost immediately. Izuku actually spoke out of himself, but his words carried more feeling with them. What did you want to ask, Izuku? Aizawa asked softly. Well, I was talking with Nejire here, but she asked me if I was entering the sports festival, but I haven't heard anything about it, so I was wondering if I was participating as well, Izuku asked with Nejire standing behind him with a curious look. Well, since you just joined, we were actually thinking of not making you participate as we would actually be jumping it on you, but I actually was thinking of asking you if you wanted to or not, Aizawa asked as everyone looked surprised at him. That's not really like you, Aizawa, Midnight stated. Well, the sports festival is about UA, so by leaving him out he might feel like being left out, and UA shows the promising new students as well. We know that Izuku is amazing, and this will be a chance to show everyone that we've got a strong hero coming as well, Aizawa explained. I agree with Aizawa, All Might stated. So, Izuku, do you want to participate? Or would you rather just watch? Aizawa asked. Izuku then looked at Nejire. She looked curious with big eyes as she then gave him a bright smile. Izuku smiled at her then turned back around. Everyone was surprised to see a smile on the before emotionless Izuku, but the person most surprised by it was Aizawa. I'll participate, Izuku stated confidently. Can I ask you however not to kill anyone? The sports festival is something different every year, and quirks are allowed to be used, but that power of yours is already terrifyingly strong. Even as a kid, we don't want people to die because of it, Aizawa stated. Don't worry about that, even with all those villains after me, I've never killed a person. I defeated weaker villains than the students here, and they all recovered nicely. I've seen them in a few attacks after that as well, Izuku stated. Man, you are freaky. How can you talk about that so casually like it's seeing a relative again? Mike stated a bit uncomfortable. After 9 years you get used to it, you start remembering familiar faces, Izuku explained. Also Aizawa, I think I've never properly thanked you, Izuku stated. Thank me? What for? Aizawa asked. 8 years ago, you took care of the villains that were after me, Izuku stated. Thank you for saving me that day, Izuku stated as he bowed down. Don't worry about it, kid, I'm just glad you're still alive and safe, Aizawa stated as everyone smiled softly. So when is this sports festival? Izuku asked. Actually, Midnight stated a bit uncomfortable. It's tomorrow, Nejire stated. Ah, well that explains why you wanted to keep me out. Mostly people would be freaked out to hear about joining something big the day after, Izuku stated. Aizawa nodded. Also, the hero suit you asked for, it's ready for use. Sadly you can't use it at the sports festival, but once the time comes, you can use it. I just wanted to tell you that, Aizawa stated. Awesome, thank you, sir. Izuku stated. Izuku's suit will be like the picture above. Without the hood and the weapons, his shoulders and upper arms will be open, so no clothing on those parts, and also none of those buttons and those things around his shoulder close to his neck. Sorry, I can't find the word for it. It's basically those iron thingies next to the neck that will be missing as well. Izuku and Nejire then walked off and stayed together for a bit long to talk some more. Eventually it was getting dark and they had to go back to their dorms. Good luck tomorrow, Izuku. I'll be rooting for you, Nejire stated. Thanks, Nejire, Izuku stated as she then hugged him. Izuku was a bit hesitant but hugged her back. Eventually she wanted to walk off, however Izuku grabbed her hand as she was being pulled a bit back. When she turned around he suddenly kissed her cheek. That's for what you did for me today. Oswell is giving me such a good feeling, Izuku stated as he gave her a soft smile. Nejire just stared with wide eyes, a blushing face and not being able to bring anything out. No problem, she managed to say before walking off. Was that too much? Izuku asked silently to himself. Suddenly she ran back and kissed him on the cheek. Oswell. Sorry, it wasn't too much, I just didn't expect it. Actually it might be strange, but I actually really like you already, Nejire stated before she ran off again back to her dorm. Izuku went inside his own dorm as he then grabbed some food, took a shower and went to bed early. He was tired after everything that happened today, and had to get up early for the sports festival. Everyone had woken up early so they wouldn't be late for the sports festival. They all eat breakfast and then left for the sports festival arena. Once there they noticed a lot of people already walking in, as well as a lot of pro heroes standing around as guards. So you guys are finally here, Aizawa stated a bit bored. Today is the perfect day for you guys. The whole country will be able to see what you can do. So if you do well here, it might help you get work in the future, Aizawa stated. Now let's go inside. Everyone followed Aizawa inside towards the field. All of the first-year classes gathered there as Midnight was announcing that this year's sports festival was finally about to start. She then told everyone that there will be only 2 events. First there will be a race. As for the next round there will be a battle. The battle will be fought tournament style, one on you win when the opponent is either unable to fight, unconscious or out of the ring. Alright, all students get ready, Midnight shouted as all the students walked towards a door. Izuku stood at the back and was looking around the stadium. He knew it was being broadcasted but wondered if Nejire was in the stands watching him. However, he didn't see her. Meanwhile at UA, all the classes sat in their classrooms with a big screen that showed UA's sports festival. Nejire noticed Izuku looking around. Concentrate on the festival, dummy, she thought. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let the first round of the sports festival begin, she shouted as the door opened. Once the door opened, everyone wanted to storm outside. However, Izuku then noticed ice coming towards him as it freezed everyone's legs. Guess this is what they meant when they said you're allowed to use quirks. Well, if that's the case, Izuku stated as he covered himself in lightning. He jumped up before the ice reached him and shot through the air with his lightning. He then used the students' shoulders to get past them. Once he passed them all, he started running, his lightning making him even faster. It didn't take Izuku long to catch up to the people who made it past the ice. First he saw Mineta and Momo. However, Mineta was suddenly slammed away by a giant robot. Momo managed to avoid the robot and continued. Izuku suddenly just ran past her. Next he saw Ida and Uraraka. Uraraka had made herself almost weightless by using the quirk on herself instead of her clothes. She managed to stay close to Ida's speed that way. That's actually pretty incredible, but it's nothing I can't outrun, Izuku stated as he suddenly started running more seriously. The distance between Izuku, Ida and Uraraka closed insanely fast as Izuku then passed them. That can't be, Ida stated shocked. However, once they all looked forward, they noticed a giant pit. The only way to get past it was over ropes above the pit. When Izuku arrived there, he became lightning himself and managed to zigzag between the ropes at incredible speed to get over it. He basically turned into lightning himself to zigzag like that. However, he can't make big jumps. He can use it mid-air, but the distance he makes in one of those jumps isn't that far. He can also use this to move mid-air, but still the distance won't be far while making that sort of jump. He can't be attacked, but he also can't attack. Just to explain. Enjoy reading the rest. Surprisingly, Izuku then saw Kirishima and Tokoyami in front of him. Wow, never expected to see them this far ahead of Ida and Uraraka with the speed they had, Izuku silently said. Izuku, however, easily passed them and immediately saw Bakugo and Todoroki in the lead. It didn't take him long to catch up. However, at that moment Todoroki made a field of ice while sliding over it and using his flames as a booster. Bakugo was using his explosions to fly. Everyone is using their quirks in amazing ways. I'm really impressed, but I'm not going to lose to them, Izuku stated as he got serious. He charged his lightning some more and ran ahead at full speed. Izuku shot past them at incredible speed. However, once he got past them, he saw a minefield. Izuku didn't hesitate. Just going in a straight line, he thought. Izuku actually ran in a straight line. He set off some explosions from the mines. However, Izuku was moving too fast for the explosions to hurt him. However, suddenly, Bakugo and Todoroki managed to stay close by. Bakugo was using full-force explosions to make him as fast as possible, and Todoroki was using intense flames to boost himself. This pushed them close to Izuku's speed, but Izuku made it still inside first. And our number one is Izuku Midoriya, Midnight shouted. At number 2 we have Todoroki, who beat the number 3 Katsuki Bakugo by a hair. Midnight shouted. After a little bit, the other students made it inside. The remaining 5 people were Tokoyami, Kirishima, Ida, Uraraka and Momo. Good job, Izuku. You were really impressive. And the way you used that lightning to zigzag over the ropes. Ooh, I want to see him again and talk to him more. Nejire stated happily and excited while looking. Well, someone is excited about someone. Guess you felt a spark yesterday, huh? Mirio stated. This made Nejire blush, but made Tamaki laugh. However, Nejire didn't deny. Seeing as you aren't denying it, it must be true, huh? Mirio said with a smooth grin. I really did start to like him. We even kissed each other on the cheek, she stated, blushing madly while suddenly remembering about it. Well, it's a good thing, right? I haven't seen him long, but what I saw from him, he's a good guy, and if you would do a thing like that, that means he really means a lot to you, Mirio stated. Yeah, but I've only just met him. Nejire then stated. So? What does that have to do with it? Sometimes you just meet the right person and just know it's that person, and it seems you are the right person for him, Oswell. He looks a lot happier after yesterday, and his emotionless expression is gone, so you really opened him up, Mirio stated. But what if he doesn't like me? She asked, a bit insecure. There is no way he wouldn't, Tamaki suddenly stated. How do you know that for sure? She asked. Well, if he didn't he wouldn't have kissed you on the cheek like you just said you guys did, which means he also likes you, and I'm thinking that at the start when he was looking around he was searching for you in the audience, Tamaki explained. You sure? She asked. Wow Nejire, I've never seen you this insecure about something or someone, you must really like him, does he know about it? Mirio asked. Well, yesterday he kissed me on the cheek and ignored it at first and ran off, however I quickly came back, kissed him on the cheeks, told him I liked him and ran off, Nejire stated. Man, I was so stupid, but I was afraid he wouldn't feel the same, Nejire stated as she placed his head on her desk. Well, you still got plenty of time, Mirio stated. Midnight then announced that the next event would start. The first matchups will be Izuku vs Tokoyami, Todoroki vs Ida, Uraraka vs Momo, Bakugo vs Kirishima. Izuku and Tokoyami, please come to the field, Midnight stated. Both of them walked towards the field together as they smiled excitedly. Good luck Tokoyami, Izuku stated. Same to you, he answered. They both stood on the field opposing from each other. Let the battle begin, Midnight stated excited. Dark Shadow, Tokoyami said as Dark Shadow appeared and started to attack Izuku. Izuku charged his lightning around himself which pushed Dark Shadow away. That lightning is strong, Dark Shadow stated. I know, if we want to beat him we'll have to be smart, Tokoyami stated. Tokoyami then sended Dark Shadow towards Izuku again, however once Dark Shadow arrived, Izuku was gone. Your quirk is strong but has a big weakness which makes it easy to take you down, Izuku stated from behind Tokoyami who was shocked. Even though your quirk is strong and is good for long-ranged, in close combat you're defenseless, Izuku stated as he held out his hand as he then shot lightning from his hand to shock Tokoyami. Tokoyami fell to his knees. Dark Shadow quickly returned to him. Let's go partner, Dark Shadow stated. No, he's not an opponent we can win from, we're just wasting our energy, I give up, Tokoyami stated. The winner is Izuku, Midnight stated. Smart move, don't get me wrong, Dark Shadow is strong, but by encountering someone who's good at close ranged, you lose. Dark Shadow is good at long ranged, but maybe you can find a way to use it for both close and long ranged at once, Izuku stated. Thanks, I'll definitely think of a way to do so, Tokoyami stated. What lovely rivalry, first they fight, now Izuku is encouraging Tokoyami to get stronger. Midnight stated as everyone cheered. Afterwards the other fights were fought, Ida was outspeeding Todoroki for a little bit with his engine, however eventually Todoroki managed to freeze Ida's engines in his calves and won. Momo first had the upper hand on Uraraka as she created long-ranged weapons, as well as shield to keep Uraraka at a distance. However Uraraka managed to slip by the weapons and shields and managed to make Momo weightless, then threw her off the field and released her quirk. Kirishima and Bakugo was pretty one-sided, Bakugo throwing explosions non-stop. Kirishima blocked the blows, but the longer he blocked, the softer his skin got, and the more damage he took until Bakugo placed his hand on Kirishima's chest and blew him off the field. Now let's hear it for the half finalists. First, we'll see Izuku and Todoroki fighting for a place in the finals. This is sure to be an exciting battle for sure. Midnight shouted as everyone cheered. Izuku and Todoroki both got up the stage, however Todoroki looked very serious, more like annoyed or irritated. I will beat you, and I'll do it with only my left side, Todoroki stated. Only your right side? So only your ice? Why is that? Izuku asked a bit irritated as well. I refuse to use my old man's quirk to fight, Todoroki stated. You used it in the race, didn't you? So what's the big deal? Izuku asked. I refuse to be his puppet and let him manipulate me. I'll win without his quirk and show him that I won't need his quirk, Todoroki stated. Izuku then created a lightning bow. Fine, as long as you do that, I'll only fight using this bow, Izuku stated. Stop mocking me, Todoroki stated angrily. You are actually mocking me, but rest assured, this bow will be enough for someone who doesn't take this seriously, Izuku stated. Already, ladies and gentlemen, let the first half finale match begin. Midnight shouted as Todoroki immediately shot an glacier at Izuku. Lightning arrow explosive shot, Izuku stated as he shot the arrow. The arrow exploded right as it crashed into the ice as it actually destroyed the entire glacier. Would you look at that? Izuku destroyed that entire glacier with just an lightning arrow. Incredible! Midnight shouted. Todoroki then created ice under his feet as he used it to glide around the stage. Izuku kept standing where he was as he only used his bow. He didn't even reinforce his body with lightning. Todoroki then glided around Izuku with incredible speed. This is getting boring really quirk, Izuku stated as he aimed his bow to the sky. Lightning rain, he stated as he shot an lightning arrow into the sky. Suddenly multiple lightning strikes shot down on the field. The ice got broken apart. One of the lightning strikes crashed right at Todoroki's feet as this made him fall to the ground. You know, you really have a lot of talent, and your quirk is really strong, but I just can't understand you, Izuku stated. Why is that? Todoroki asked. The more you use your ice, the slower your body and reaction time get, otherwise you could have dodged that blow easily. Your fire can regulate that, however you don't use it, Izuku stated, still holding his bow. I won't use my flames, my old man. He only wants to use me. He was never good enough to become the number one or to beat All Might. Now he wants me to do it in his place. He only needs my power to defeat All Might. He even resorts to awful things to train me. I refuse to be his puppet, so I refuse to use his power, Todoroki explained. You know, for a talented and smart kid, you really are talking dumb right now, Izuku stated. What do you mean? Todoroki asked angrily. I don't know what methods he uses, and even though you told me about why he needs you, I still don't understand what that has to do with you, Izuku stated. You were born with your quirk half hot half cold. He was born with the quirk Hellflame. Sure, your flames come from his genes, but then again, you have your own quirk and he has his own quirk, Izuku stated as this surprised Todoroki. You're old enough to choose your own path. You can do whatever you choose to do. If you want to reach the number one spot, then do it your own way, but don't go disgracing others by saying you'll beat us with half power, Izuku stated as his bow disappeared and lightning appeared against his body. If you still insist on holding back your flames, then your fight will end right here, right now. I won't be holding back any longer. You stated you'll beat us with only your ice. Do you even know how pathetic you sound right now? Izuku shouted. The crowd and everyone looking at the fight could hear them talk. We're not that weak that we'll be beaten with half power. You got some lucky wins, but that's all. If you really think your ice will be enough, then you are heavily underestimating us. And if you're that scared of using all of your power, then that makes you the weakest of us all, Izuku stated as lightning got more intense around him. Todoroki looked shocked and took a step back. Tell me, will you face me with all of your power? Or will you forfeit this match? Izuku asked. I won't forfeit. Todoroki stated. Fine, will you fight me at full power, or will you fight like you have and lose like the weakling you are right now? Izuku asked. Todoroki looked down. Eesh, such a waste of talent. You're so obsessed with your father that you don't even understand that your flames are your own quirk, Izuku stated as he closed his eyes. After hearing all that, Todoroki had enough and suddenly enormous flames shot on his left side. Izuku opened his eyes and smiled confidently. About time you took me seriously, Izuku stated. Who isn't taking this fight seriously now? Provoking your opponent to use full power? Stop. Fooling around, Todoroki stated smiling. Well, let's see just how strong you are then, Izuku stated as suddenly strong lightning shot up from above Izuku. It then smashed into the ground as a stream of lightning shot towards Todoroki, who countered it by shooting his flames. The clash created a giant explosion. Izuku then shot multiple streams of lightning directly at Todoroki, who blocked with a wall of ice. He immediately switched to his flames and shot more of that at Izuku. Izuku then charged lightning from all of his body as it gathered in front of him to create a shield to block the flames. The crowd cheered as they saw the heavy attacks being used one after the other and clashes of their powers. Well, seems the crowd is having fun, Todoroki stated looking at Izuku. But you're looking like you're having a great time over there, Todoroki stated. Well, don't you feel the same? Izuku asked with a grin. To be completely honest, it feels amazing fighting at full power, Todoroki stated. Oh, Endeavor suddenly shouted. Have you finally realized you need my power to become stronger? Now show those weaklings just how powerful you are and how pathetic they are. Endeavor shouted as Todoroki suddenly shot flames towards Endeavor. He cancelled those out with his own flames as then suddenly a heavy lightning strike shot down an inch away from Endeavor. Endeavor was certainly shocked by the sudden lightning. Will you shut up already? I don't need you or your power. I'm fighting with my own power, and from now on I use my power how I want to use it. Todoroki stated. You arrogant little brat. Endeavor stated as he jumped down and landed with his flames. Endeavor calmed down. Midnight stated as she walked towards him. Endeavor then shot some flames towards her to back off. Izuku shot his lightning in front of her to block the lightning. It's alright Midnight, Izuku stated. We'll handle this, Izuku stated. Oh, and what will you handle now? Endeavor said. What can weaklings like you two do against absolute power? Endeavor stated. Coming from the number 2, seems your absolute power isn't as great as you brag about, Izuku stated. You're quite arrogant for a kid, let me show you what real power looks like. Endeavor stated as his flames intensified. Izuku saw the teachers running towards the field. Don't worry about me, I can handle this myself, Izuku stated as the teacher stopped. Todoroki, can you move away for a bit? We'll resume our fight shortly, Izuku stated as his lightning intensified. Endeavor then walked up the field as Todoroki backed away next to the teachers. Well, who would have expected this? A fight between Izuku Midoriya and the number 2 hero. Midnight shouted. At UA everyone was surprised. Well, he sure has guts. First he makes that Todoroki kid use full power, now he's even facing the number 2, Tamaki stated. I don't know if it was a good idea to provoke Endeavor though, Mirio stated. We know he's strong, and that he has talent, we all saw that already, however fighting a pro from the top 10? That might be a bit too much for him, Mirio stated. Izuku's got this, Nejire stated with a soft simple which was free of worry. You seem to have confidence in his power, do you know something we don't? Tamaki asked however Nejire kept looking at the screen. Prepare to be defeated kid, Endeavor stated said as he suddenly shot intense flames at Izuku. Izuku's lightning shot up then down towards the ground as it created lightning bars to stop the flames. Endeavor followed up with multiple flame moves, however Izuku managed to stop every attack. Are you holding back on me or is this really all you have? Izuku asked surprised, honestly I expected more, even if you're just the number 2, Izuku stated as he signed. Is he trying to provoke him? If he does then it works. Mike stated a bit worried. Just the number 2 huh, I've heard enough of you, Endeavor stated as an enormous flame shot up in the air around him. Prominence burn. He shouted as he charged his flames at full power. He's going too far. Midnight stated as Cementos wanted to create barriers while Aizawa got ready to erase Aizawa's quirk, however they suddenly saw Izuku laughing. Is he really laughing? All Might asked as he saw it. Raging Volt, Izuku shouted as he shot an lightning-like beam towards the flames. The attacks clashed creating an incredibly powerful air pressure clash. Izuku's move slowly started to overpower Endeavor's power. Slowly Izuku's attack completely shot through Endeavor's attack and crashed right into him. Endeavor was sent flying while being electrified as he then fell on the ground outside of the fighting field. The crowd was silent at first but then started cheering loudly. Izuku walked to the edge. Once he did, everyone got quiet again. So much for your absolute power. In terms of raw power, you really have more strength than most of the pros and you really are close to All Might. However, there is more than brute strength to being strong and beating an opponent. Sure, it helps against a lot of villains, but just like you saw there can always be someone overpowering you, Izuku explained. What you displayed just now is a joke. A really strong person doesn't just boast about his strength, someone who's really powerful will use his power accordingly to create an opening and then strike, not like you did trying to overpower someone head-on. Raw power doesn't make you invincible, it's sad that you don't even understand that. By accepting his power, Todoroki has already far surpassed you. Not only does he have strong attacks, he uses them to try and create openings, and he uses them as a tactic, not just to overpower someone, Izuku stated as Endeavor listened to everything then just walked away said. Izuku took a deep breath and out as he then relaxed and wiped some sweat from his head. You ready to continue this fight, Todoroki? Izuku asked, calm but a bit worn out. Sure, but instead of a dragged-out fight, how about we settle this in one attack? You seem pretty worn out after fighting my old man, Todoroki stated. Fine by me, Izuku stated as Todoroki walked back up the stage. Now, after a spectacular fight between Izuku and the number 2 Endeavor, the fight between Izuku and Todoroki continues. However, they stated they will finish it in one last attack. Midnight stated. Izuku then placed his hand towards each other as a big ball of lightning was being created. Man, just how much power do you have? Todoroki asked, amazed. He then charged intense flames in his left side. I won't be able to control my flames much since I haven't used them much, but then again, if I don't give it everything right here and now, I won't be able to beat you, Todoroki stated. Lightning bolt, Izuku stated as he shot his ball of lightning at Todoroki, who lifted his arm and shot his flames with all the power he had. The lightning bolt and flames clashed and created a giant explosion and smokescreen. After a while the smokescreen died down. The first one to be seen was Izuku, who held his arms in front of his face as a cross to block his face. On the ground there were some marks that Izuku was pushed back a bit from the force. After a little while Todoroki showed up as well. He was standing at the edge of the field breathing heavily. His left side of the shirt was completely burned away. You really are a monster, Todoroki stated as he fell off the stage on his back. The winner of this match is Izuku Midoriya. Midnight shouted. The crowd cheered wildly. Izuku left of the stage but was actually breathing a little bit. You've used more power than you thought, haven't you? Aizawa asked. Well, that's what I get for provoking the number 2 hero. He wasn't weak, just too arrogant, and too uphold on raw strength, Izuku stated. Take a nice rest, you deserve it, Aizawa stated as Izuku nodded and walked towards the spot where his whole class sat watching. Wow, Izuku, you really were incredible, Momo stated. Yeah man, that was so manly, Kirishima stated. Thanks guys, Izuku stated as he sat down and finally rested for a bit. The match between Uraraka and Bakugo had started when he walked upstairs. Uraraka stayed low to the ground, trying to dodge Bakugo's explosions. However, Bakugo stayed in place and watched her carefully. Once she got too close for him, he used a big and wide-ranged explosion to blow her back. She got close a few times, however eventually she collapsed from reaching her limit, both by using every bit of energy she had, as well as from the damage sustained from the explosions. Bakugo and Izuku were given 30 minutes to rest from their fights. That way all the people watching the sports festival could get some drinks and a snack, or just stretch their muscles. After the 30 minutes had passed, all of the spectators got to their seats. However, Izuku and Bakugo were already on the field standing opposite from each other as they just looked at each other seriously. Alright ladies and gentlemen, now what you've all been waiting for. The final match is Izuku Midoriya versus Katsuki Bakugo. Who will win this battle and get first place? Midnight shouted as everyone cheered. Bakugo held his hand up as he created small explosions. Izuku channeled his lightning in his body as it swirled around him sometimes. Ready. Begin. Midnight shouted, and right when she did, both Izuku and Bakugo shot forward at incredible speed. Both of them held up their arm at each other as Izuku shot lightning at the same moment Bakugo shot his explosion. A clash of power right from the start. Incredible, Midnight stated. Both Izuku and Bakugo got pushed back by the force of the clash and both grinned while battling. Bakugo then launched at Izuku as he tried smashing Izuku in the face with an explosion, however he blocked it with his arms covered in lightning. Izuku then placed his hand on Bakugo's chest. Thunderclap, Izuku stated as Bakugo was launched away as lightning appeared on his body causing quite a bit of damage. Bakugo used his explosions to keep himself from falling off the field as he then immediately shot back at Izuku. Die! He shouted while creating a rapid fire of explosions. Izuku held out his hands and shot lightning from his hands as this cancelled out the rapid fire. However, the clashes made sure Izuku didn't see Bakugo anymore, as Bakugo suddenly shot out of the smoke from his side as Izuku was hit in the side by an explosion. Bakugo then grabbed Izuku's face and slammed him into the ground. However, instead of trying to break free, Izuku smiled. Bakugo had wide eyes and wanted to pull back. However, Izuku grabbed his wrist. Dragon Thunder, he stated as a lightning strike shot down at Bakugo. Bakugo screamed in pain as Izuku then released him and kicked him away with lightning. Izuku then quickly jumped a few steps back. Both of them were breathing. Well now, seems you don't have endless stamina, Bakugo stated. Well, I've fought quite a lot those past years, but never against so many powerful opponents, our classmates, Todoroki, you're all strong heroes, so there is no way I wouldn't get tired from fighting you, and besides I had to overpower the number 2 that's not child's play Izuku stated while breathing. Well then, since you're so tired, I'll end it right here and let you rest. Bakugo stated as he shot up into the air. Izuku placed his hands on the floor like a track runner as he charged his lightning. Bakugo then shot down as he spinned around followed by explosions. Howitzer impact! He shouted. Izuku launched himself from the floor straight at Bakugo as he spinned around covered in lightning and held out his fist. Raging thunder drill! Izuku stated as the lightning kept on intensifying. Eventually their attacks reached each other and created an insanely huge explosion and smokescreen. Incredible! 2 of our first-year students were powerful enough to create an amazingly huge explosion and smokescreen like this. Midnight shouted. Slowly the smoke cleared, they saw Izuku laying on the field. Once the smoke completely cleared, they noticed Bakugo stuck in a wall. Wow, both fighters are down, Bakugo is stuck on a wall, and Izuku seems to be down as well. Midnight stated. If Izuku is still conscious and able to stand then it means he wins, however if this is not the case, then this fight will be a DR, Midnight was explaining as Izuku suddenly started getting up as strong lightning still appeared around his body. After a few seconds Izuku stood on both his legs as the crowd then cheered wildly. The winner of this year's sports festival is Izuku Midoriya. Midnight shouted. Everyone stood up and cheered loudly while giving a loud applause. Even Class 1A was cheering loudly. Back at Yue even Mirio, Tamaki and Nejire were cheering for Izuku's victory. After that the award ceremony began as Izuku got first place and the medal for it, Bakugo was second, Todoroki and Uraraka had shared third place and also got a loud round of applause for how they fought. Once everything was over and Class 1A started to head back to UA, Izuku became a bit weak on his feet. Kirishima and Kaminari supported him while walking. Thanks guys, fighting so many strong people today really took it out of me, Izuku stated. Don't worry about it, we're friends right, Kaminari stated with a smile. They all walked to UA. When they arrived, Izuku noticed Mirio, Tamaki and Nejire standing at the entrance. They were happy to see Izuku but were worried when they saw Kirishima and Kaminari basically carrying him. Are you alright? Mirio asked. Yeah, but fighting Tokoyami, Todoroki, Endeavor and Bakugo was quite exhausting, Izuku stated with a smile. It's alright guys, I can walk now, thanks for the help, Izuku stated as he stood on his own. No problem bro, we'll see you at the dorm later, Kirishima stated as he and Kaminari walked back to the dorm. The others of Class 1A were already back. However Kirishima, Izuku and Kaminari walked a bit slower with Izuku tired like that. So, what did you think? Izuku asked with a smile. You were amazing, Nejire said softly with a dreamy smile and look in her eyes while staring at him. Izuku gave her a smile back. Honestly I was a bit worried when you faced Endeavor but man you're strong, Mirio stated. Well, overpowering him wasn't easy, it took a lot of power. Guess that's why I'm so tired right now, Izuku stated. You should really rest though, Tamaki stated. Yeah, I just saw you guys and wanted to talk a bit, but yeah, I was planning on taking a little nap to restore some energy when I got back, Izuku stated. Well, we won't hold you back man, you did amazing, say, once you wake up, do you want to hang out a bit? Mirio asked. Sure I'd love to, Izuku stated. He then gave Mirio his phone number so they could talk to each other whenever they wanted, and also so Izuku could let him know when he was awake. My phone is still in my room, you can send me a message, I'll tell you when I'm awake again, Izuku stated as he felt his energy leave his body more and more. Well, have a nice rest and nap man, see you later, Mirio stated. Izuku started walking to his dorm. Oh that reminds me, he stated as he stopped. Izuku then turned around and looked at Nejire, Mirio and Tamaki looked curious and surprised at him. Yesterday before leaving you told me something, I haven't been able to answer you then since you were away so quick, Izuku stated. Nejire was thinking of what he meant when he suddenly walked towards her. Izuku then suddenly leaned towards her and kissed her on the lips as Mirio and Tamaki both looked surprised with big eyes. I like you too, Izuku said with a smile on his face and eyes closed. He then used his lightning to shoot away from there before she could respond as payback for the day before. However, Nejire was just muttering some unhearable words while being completely red. She couldn't blush any worse than she was doing right now. Mirio and Tamaki then just smiled at the muttering and blushing mess that was Nejire right now. Once Izuku got at the dorm, he took a shower and went to bed. When he got to his room, he opened his phone and found out Mirio had already sent him a message. There were 2 messages. The first said, "Hey Mirio here, this way you'll have my number Oswell, take a nice rest." Izuku smiled, then read the second. You did a good job with Nejire, she really liked you and was insecure about if you had the same feelings for her. Now she knows for sure you like her too, and she's been a stuttering mess and blushing mess ever since you left. Well, have a nice rest and we'll see you later. Izuku was smiling as he then fell on his bed. He closed his eyes, and before he fell asleep he could see Nejire in front of him. He looked at her beautiful eyes and face. She also had pretty long blue hair. However, that which he found most beautiful about her and what he saw last before falling asleep was her amazingly beautiful bright smile. Izuku had woken up after a few hours of sleep and he messaged Mirio that he was awake again. Only a minute later he received a message to meet up in the park. Izuku agreed to it, then walked to the park and laid down in the grass in the sun with a smile on his face and his eyes closed. A few moments later he heard them coming. Hey Izuku, had a good rest? Mirio asked. Yeah, it was a really nice nap, Izuku said as he sat up and stretched his back and arms. Izuku then saw Nejire looking at him. When he looked at her and smiled, she started blushing again. I think you kind of melted her brain, Tamaki stated. You really think so? Izuku asked as he stood up and got closer to Nejire. Are you still in there? Izuku asked as she then nodded. Ah, good. Izuku said with a smile as he sat back down. How can he act so calm and naturally? It was already hard for me to say that I like him, yet he just did it and even kissed me. Now he's acting as if nothing changed, Nejire thought as she sat down. Mirio and Tamaki also sat on the grass. So Izuku, how was it? Fighting the number 2 hero? Tamaki asked as Mirio looked surprised at him. Hey, I can be curious Oswell, you know, Tamaki stated. Yeah, but you're mostly really shy, Mirio stated. Not around friends or people I know long enough, he answered. To answer that question, it was really tough. I overpowered him, sure, but he's very strong. The thing about him is, he only attacks head-on. He doesn't create an opening for himself, he just charges in at full power and just hopes his attacks get through, Izuku explained. Basically, if I fought like I normally do, he wouldn't stand a chance. My fighting style mostly uses my speed to create openings than attack. It's a better strategy than attacking head-on, Izuku explained. By the way, what are your quirks? Izuku asked, curious. My quirk is called Manifest. I can manifest things I ate. I mostly eat takoyaki and clams. That way I've always got good offense and defense on hand. I can only manifest what I ate that day though, Tamaki stated. My quirk is Permeation. It's not that grand as Tamaki's quirk. However, I'm able to slip through matter. I can even slip through the ground and launch myself up by undoing my quirk underground. However, there are a lot of different steps involved in going through something. However, I trained it so much I can almost do it naturally, Mirio explained. What about you, Nejire? Izuku asked, however she was still staring at him with a blush. Maybe you should kiss her again, Mirio stated with a goofy grin. Nejire then snapped back to reality. Sorry, what? She asked, still blushing while looking at Izuku. Glad you're back. I was asking about your quirks. Mirio and Tamaki already explained theirs. I was wondering what yours was, Izuku stated. Mine is called Surge. I use my own energy to shoot energy blasts. I can also make myself float and bind people with it, she explained. Wow, you 3 really have amazing quirks, Izuku stated. Well, that might be. However, yours is the most impressive, Mirio stated. Yeah, you're really strong. Tamaki stated. Well, that's what I wanted, to be strong and to protect others. Not that I had any choice to become stronger or not, Izuku stated. What do you mean? Mirio asked as he noticed Izuku was a bit sad. Right, you guys left before Nejire and I talked about that villain attack I talked about, that launched my into you, that wasn't the first, I actually lost count of how many attacks I've fended off, Izuku stated. How long have you been attacked by villains then? Tamaki asked. Every day for 9 years straight, Izuku stated as Mirio and Tamaki had wide eyes after hearing that. Wow, that's intense, didn't you have anywhere to go? Mirio asked. Nope, my mom shielded me to get away when I was 7, however I've never seen her since, I don't know if she got away, or if she was taken, or maybe even killed, Izuku stated. That's really rough, Tamaki stated. Yeah well, I managed to survive, and I'll become a hero, so I can save others, so kids won't have to lose their parents or parents don't have to lose their child, so people won't lose their loved ones to villain attacks, and most of all to save people from the life I had, Izuku explained. Nejire looked sad as well after hearing that, suddenly she remembered earlier again. I'm sorry to suddenly change the subject, but Izuku? How is it you were able to say you like me and kiss me so easily? It took all my courage I had to say I like you, then I ran away, but you were able to tell me you like me with a smile on your face and even kiss me before leaving, Nejire stated. It's not that it was easy for me, trust me, my heart raced like crazy, but I've spent years trying to stay calm no matter how I felt, so I guess that's something that stayed with me, Izuku explained. Sorry for the sudden kiss, I shouldn't have done that, Izuku stated as he laughed a bit awkwardly while scratching his head. Nejire then leaned in and kissed him. Mirio, Tamaki and Izuku all looked surprised. Nejire, the muttering blushing mess, suddenly kissed Izuku. That's my way of showing I like you just as much, and also for showing I don't mind to kiss you, she stated with a burning blush. Soon she'll melt her brain, Mirio stated as they then all started to laugh. Say, shall we go to the shopping mall in the city? We could grab some food and something to drink, Mirio stated. Fine by me, Izuku stated as Mirio then jumped up. The others followed his lead and got up. The walk towards the shopping mall, however once they did, Mirio regretted asking as Nejire immediately pulled everyone in a clothes shop. Nejire had been gone for a while to get clothes, Izuku, Mirio and Tamaki just waited. So, why did we have to come in here too? Izuku asked. Once Nejire gets here, she wants us to rate her clothes and tell her our opinion on it. It's just the amount of clothes she gets just to try them on is huge, Mirio stated. Suddenly Nejire came walking with both her arms completely covered in a pile of clothes. Izuku looked with wide eyes. I get you too since you're her friends, but why me? Izuku asked. You two literally kissed before we got here, do you even have to ask? Mirio asked while laughing. After a long while, they were finally done rating Nejire's clothes as she walked with 3 bags of clothes. Thanks you guys. Nejire stated. Mirio, Tamaki and Izuku just nodded. Shall we get something to eat? I'm starving and it's on me, Izuku stated. That's nice but you don't have to man, Mirio stated. Well it's still on me, let's just say it's celebrating that I won the sports festival, Izuku stated with a smile. Well if you say it like that, then it'll be rude to decline, Mirio stated with a smile. They went to a restaurant and all ordered some food and some drinks. After they were all done, Izuku paid the bill and they all got outside. Man that food was so good, Mirio stated as he stretched his back and arms. You said it that was really good, Tamaki stated. Yeah, thanks for the food Izuku. Nejire stated. No problem, I went here when I was a kid and it's still delicious, Izuku stated. They walked through the mall a little longer, Mirio and Tamaki up front and Izuku and Nejire behind them. Without thinking Izuku grabbed her hand and walked hand in hand. Mirio and Tamaki didn't really notice it, but even if they did they really didn't mind. Both Izuku and Nejire were friends of them, as long as they were happy, so are they. Izuku, Nejire, Mirio and Tamaki were walking around when suddenly there was a giant explosion close by. Izuku immediately sprinted towards it, Mirio, Tamaki and Nejire quickly followed. However when they arrived they saw 4 Nomas rampaging through the city. They were attacking whoever they saw, they threw cars and slammed into buildings. Izuku saw some of the local heroes fight the Nomus however they couldn't stop them. Izuku launched lightning towards all 4 of the Nomu, gaining their attention. Go help with the rescue, I can handle them, Izuku stated towards his friends. They nodded and immediately ran towards the burning buildings, as well as the destroyed ones, to see if there are people in need. You go as well, Izuku stated towards the local heroes who tried to face the Nomus. Are you sure? They are really strong, one of them said. Don't worry, I got this, Izuku stated. Suddenly the Nomus got serious as two suddenly disappeared. Izuku looked surprised and jumped back. Once he did, the two Nomus punched a small hole in the ground. So those two are speed types, that means that those other two are power types, Izuku stated as the other two Nomu charged him from the sides. Izuku manages to catch their fists and stop them. The two speed types had jumped up, launching at Izuku. He was defenseless, or so people and the Nomus thought. Izuku grabbed the fist of the Nomu on his right tighter as he then slammed that Nomu into the other two. Izuku then threw them away. He then turned to the Nomu on his left and roasted it with his lightning. Wow, incredible, one of the local heroes said. Izuku was facing off against the remaining three Nomu. He managed to deflect their punches and then throw attacks off his own. He was about to win when suddenly, "Watch out!" Nejire shouted. Izuku turned around and saw a sword coming from him. "Sheet, I won't make it in time," Izuku thought when suddenly the sword got blocked. Izuku looked towards the reason as he then saw Tamaki with a clam. "Good thing I always eat takoyaki and clams to have this power," Tamaki stated. Mirio and Nejire then got behind Izuku. "Thanks for the save, guys," Izuku stated. "Don't mention it," Tamaki stated. "You guys handle those Nomus, I'll fight this guy," Izuku stated as he charged at the person with the sword. However, when Izuku ran towards the sword user, he ran away. Izuku ran after him. "Wait, stop, Izuku," Mirio stated. "Why? He's getting away," Izuku stated. "You don't get it. That's the hero killer Stain," Mirio stated. "Then all the more reason to get him," Izuku stated after running after him. Since Stain uses a sword, Izuku charged his lightning slightly around his body. The sword should use as a lightning rod, that way he can find out if Stain is close. Suddenly the lightning shot towards his left while running, and Izuku was just in time to jump back as then a sword appeared trying to stab or slash him. That was close, Izuku thought. He landed and attacked. However, the hero killed was running again. Izuku jumped on a roof and followed him. Izuku then created his bow of lightning as he shot bars of lightning just in front of Stain to seal of his route. Izuku then landed behind him. "I didn't know that the hero killer was such a coward, attacking people in the back then running away," Izuku stated. "You've got quite a big mouth for a kid," Stain stated. Izuku then took a fighting stance as Stain readied his swords. Izuku started off by shooting lightning at him, however Stain avoided this and ran towards Izuku. Stain threw some daggers but Izuku deflected it with his lightning. He then created claws of lightning on his hands and clashed with Stain's swords. "Not bad. For a kid, you know how to handle a fight," Stain stated. "You're not bad yourself, being able to keep up with me fast attacks," Izuku stated. Both of them gave a sudden barrage as Stain gave a barrage with his swords and Izuku countering them with his claws. Izuku suddenly covered his arms in lightning, but to Stain's surprise Izuku kicked him away. Stain got kicked a few steps away. "That's strange, why did he cover his arms in lightning if he's going to kick me?" Stain thought. Stain then suddenly jumped up and tried slashing Izuku from above, however he used his arm to block the swords. Izuku then quickly countered by placing his hand on Stain. "Thunderclap," he stated as Stain shot backwards because of the attack while letting go of his swords. "I see, using an electric shock throughout my body to make my muscles numb? Pretty smart. It wouldn't work quite as good on people with long-ranged quirks, however it works extremely well on people who hold weapons," Stain stated with a smile. Stain then managed to gain some control back of his muscles as he grabbed two knives and ran at Izuku. Instead of his claws, he created lightning daggers and clashed with Stain. Izuku then threw the daggers at Stain. He kept his attention on the dagger, but once he faced Izuku again, Izuku was gone. Izuku then appeared behind Stain as he punched Stain with incredible power in the face. Stain was sent flying and landed next to his swords. He quickly got up, grabbed them and jumped towards Izuku. Izuku bended through his knees as he placed a hand on the floor. Lightning swirled around his body as he then jumped up with incredible speed. He punched Stain in the gut before Stain could even make a move. The punch made Stain cough some blood as he was launched back. Izuku shot up to the roof with his lightning as he quickly ran after Stain's flying body. He then saw the battlefield from where he fought the Nomu. He jumped towards Stain and kicked him to the head, launching him towards the battlefield. Mirio, Tamaki and Nejire were holding off the Nomus quite well. They managed to get good hits in and weaken the three Nomus a lot when suddenly something crashed behind them. They quickly turned around and saw it was the hero killer Stain. He had some pretty bad wounds and he was unconscious. "How are you guys holding up here?" Izuku asked. "Did you do that?" Tamaki asked, pointing at the hero killer. "Yeah. Why?" Izuku asked. "I'm never going to make you angry," Tamaki stated, turning back to the Nomu. "Tamaki, Nejire, can you bind Own for me?" Izuku asked. Tamaki then managed to grab one with his tentacle fingers, and Nejire used her quirk to bind it as well. Izuku charged towards it, placed his hand on the Nomu's head. "Thunderclap," he stated as the Nomu shot down to the ground. "What did you do?" Mirio asked. "My thunderclap makes the body numb. If I hit the nerves, I can shut those down, but now I used it on its brain so it should be knocked out," Izuku stated. Suddenly the remaining Nomus charged at Izuku from the sides. He caught their fists and used his quirk. "Lightning bind," he stated as both of the Nomus had lightning swirling around them as it held them in place. "Mirio, Tamaki, you hit one. Nejire, you defeat the other with your quirk," Izuku stated as they nodded. Nejire charged full power in her energy beams, then shot it at the Nomu. Tamaki created a crab hammer in his left hand as he and Mirio then slammed the other Nomu with full force. Both Nomu fell to the ground. All the people had been saved, and the only thing to do was for the firefighters to fight the flames. Meanwhile, the chief of police showed up. "I'm glad you guys helped us. You really saved us and a lot of lives," the chief of police stated. "No problem," Izuku stated. "However, you young man, you're a first year at UA. I don't think you have your license, do you?" the chief asked. "Actually, I don't," Izuku stated. "Well, officially I'd have to punish you since you actually didn't have the authority to harm the Nomus or the hero killer. However, seeing how you saved so many people and that your friends are third years with licenses, I'm willing to overlook it for this once. However, I strongly recommend you to get your license if you want to help like this again," the chief stated. "I will, sir. Thank you for overlooking it this once. I'll be sure to get my license before acting Aegean," Izuku stated as he bowed down. Izuku and his friends walked back to UA. Aizawa had heard from the police what happened and immediately went towards Izuku and his friends. Aizawa, I wanted to go see you actually," Izuku stated. "Yeah, I figured. The police just called us with details on what happened. I guess you want to get your license, don't you?" Aizawa asked. "I do. I almost got in trouble today, so I really need to go for my license. Is that possible as a first-year student?" Izuku asked. "It is, but it will be difficult, and you'll go through a hell before I let you go on the exam. Do you still think you're up for it?" Aizawa asked. "I do. I will get my license, and I'll train as hard as I have to for it," Izuku stated. "Nizu and I already talked about it. The license exam will be over a few months. Until then, we'll work you to the bone. Eventually, we'll take an exam as a class. If you pass, we'll let you go on the license exam. If you fail, you won't. Do you understand?" Aizawa asked. "Yes, sir, I'm fine with it. I'll do my best," Izuku stated confidently. "Also, earlier when everyone was getting back from the sports festival, I saw you and Nejire kissing," Aizawa stated seriously. Both Nejire and Izuku felt like they were in trouble. "We don't mind relationships, as long as it doesn't badly affect your grades or you hero work, so don't worry, you're not in trouble," Aizawa stated, smiling a little. Izuku and Nejire sighed with relief. Aizawa then walked off. "Your entire class will train for the exam, and the training starts tomorrow," Aizawa stated. "Well, seems like you've got your work cut out for you, Izuku. Good luck, man," Mirio stated as Tamaki nodded. "Thanks, guys," Izuku stated. Nejire walked towards Izuku and hugged him. "I know you'll be able to get it. Good luck," she stated. Izuku hugged her back. When they broke off the hug, they smiled at each other and kissed before they all went towards their own dorms. A few months of hellish training and an exam to get ready for the license exam. I will get my license and become a hero. Then I'll be able to really save people. A few months had passed and Izuku and his class were in the final week before the exam would be held to decide who will go for the license exam. Izuku and everyone have been through aggressive trainings that literally made them collapse, all to get better to use their quirks, but also rescue training and such. Now it was the final week before the exam. Izuku and his class have started on creating an ultimate technique. Remember, it doesn't have to be an offensive move, it can also be a capture move or a defensive move, Aizawa stated. What about me, Aizawa? I already have quite a few moves ready. I can bind and I can defend with my lightning as well as fight, of course, Izuku stated. That's true. Maybe try to concentrate on improving those moves, or you can try and come up with another move, Aizawa stated. Everyone was improving quickly and their super moves were also quite nicely. Eventually Izuku perfected a move in a daytime. Aizawa decided to give him the rest of the week off from the training to create super moves and was done 2 hours earlier than the others. Izuku used that time to enjoy the peace around himself. He laid down in the park on the grass. Can't believe I've really been attacked for 9 years straight. It seems like a bad dream seeing how everything is now, Izuku stated. Well, at least you've got a better life now, right? Izuku heard and opened his eyes. He saw Nejire looking at him with a smile. You're right, and you know, I met this awesome girl as well, Izuku teased. Oh really? Nejire pouted. What did she look like? She asked a bit jealous. Izuku stood up. Let's see, long blue hair, beautiful eyes, not to be rude but she has a very nice figure, and to top it off, she has the most amazing smile I've seen, Izuku stated. That sounds quite a lot like me, Nejire joked. Who knows, maybe it is, Izuku stated as he kissed her. Nope, it's definitely me, she stated as she smiled at him brightly. I'm glad I met you, otherwise it might have still been very dark and cold around me, Izuku stated. Well, I'm lucky to have such an amazing guy like you, Nejire stated. By the way, how did the training go? We hadn't seen you for a while. I heard Mirio texted you a while back and told us you were really tired and really worked to the bone, Nejire stated. Well, I'd like to have your number so I can text you as well, and yeah, Aizawa really worked us till we collapsed, Izuku stated as he got tired just thinking of the training. But why aren't you training now? You should have school for at least 2 more hours? And I can give you my number but that's going to cost you a warm hug and another kiss, Nejire teased. Izuku hugged her tightly as he then gave her a loving kiss. She then gave him her number. I actually had class, but this last week we're training on super moves. I'm stressed a new one already. However, since I already had a few, Aizawa told me I was allowed to do whatever I wanted whenever we had to train. So for this week, I'm done 2 hours earlier than usual, Izuku stated. So what's this new technique you made? Nejire asked excited. Actually, it's not a new move I can show, just like that it's a bit too aggressive for that, Izuku laughed awkwardly. I can also bind people already with my lightning bow, and also without, so yeah, and I can defend with my lightning as well, so I've got almost all of that covered I guess, Izuku stated. You really are incredible. As a first year I wasn't nearly as good as you are now, Nejire stated. Well, we've lived very different lives too, Izuku stated a bit sadly. How about this? Once you get your license we'll go see my parents and tell them that you're my boyfriend. Nejire asked. Sure, but why mention that now? Izuku asked. No offense, I'd like to see them and be proud of you as my girl, but why mention it when I talked about having different lives? Izuku asked. Well, maybe you'd like it knowing they approve of you as well. Besides, after the sports festival they told me about how impressive you were and if I've seen it as well, Nejire explained. Well, that would be nice if they approved of me, however I don't know if they will once they know more about me, Izuku stated. They'll have to because I'm not going to let you go, Nejire said with a wink. That's good to know. I'd bring you to see my mom, however I still don't know if she's alive or where she would be, Izuku stated. Don't worry, we'll find her someday. And she can be proud of who you've become. Nejire stated as she placed her arms around him and gave him a warm hug. Thanks, Nejire. After that, Izuku laid on his back in the grass as Nejire laid next to him, her head on his shoulder and her eyes were closed. Izuku looked at her and she had a peaceful smile on her face. When I was on the run from the villains, I never really thought anyone could be this peaceful, but now that I'm in UA, and met Nejire, I feel at peace myself, Izuku thought. They laid like that for a couple of hours before they both headed back to their dorms. Izuku grabbed some dinner with his classmates and sat some more talking. Bakugo was bragging about his new special move that he created, Kaminari was talking about how he was able to fight better with his quirk, Kirishima stated that he could harden his body even more than before. Azui however gave everyone a demonstration of her quirk as Mineta wanted to peek at the girls and grab them on certain spots. Azui made herself invisible as she then grabbed his underpants and pulled it over his head. Mineta was screaming in pain and tried to get it off his head, however thanks to his quirk it stuck to his head for a couple of hours. Everyone laughed at that. So I have to ask, Kaminari stated. What will this exam be about? He asked. You know, for once Mr. No Brains actually asks a good question, Bakugo stated. Hey thanks Bakugo, see you can be and I'm not Mr. No Brains. Kaminari said, I know that this will decide who will take a shot at the license exam, Izuku stated. If you pass, you can go for the license exam, if you fail, you'll have to try next time, Izuku explained. How do you know about this? Kaminari asked. Yeah Izuku, how do you know that? Mina asked. When that Nomu attack was a few months ago, I was a part of that fight, I captured the hero killer stain, however if it wasn't for Mirio, Nejire and Tamaki, I would have gotten in trouble. The chief of police explained this to Aizawa and he decided to train all of us for the license exam. Izuku explained. So it's your fault we had to work so hard? Mina shouted surprised. Basically yes I guess, Izuku stated bluntly. You little, Kaminari stated as Izuku used his quirk and gave Kaminari a small shock which automatically activated his quirk, frying his brain. Everyone started laughing again. Actually this is a good thing, if we have our licenses as first years, then we can start on real hero work earlier and gain more experience before graduating, Momo stated. Well there's that too, but mostly it's because of Izuku just jumping in whenever he wants to, Bakugo stated. Well can't argue with that, Izuku stated. After that they all talked for a little while longer before going to bed. The next few days passed fairly quickly. Izuku spended more time with Nejire, the others mastered their special moves and eventually everyone was ready. The day of the UA exam finally arrived. Everyone had team-ups to face their own weaknesses, however so far everyone made it. The last fight was Izuku and Bakugo versus All Might. So how do you want to do it? Bakugo asked. Nice and easy, Izuku stated with a big smile. Take him head on? Bakugo asked. Take him head on. Izuku stated. Sounds like a plan. Bakugo said with a grin on his face. Izuku had the same grin. So far everyone had passed. Mirio, Tamaki and Nejire came looking Oswell. They heard about the exam and wanted to see how they would do. They were worried about Izuku and hoped he would pass. However his chances looked small since they had to face All Might. Nah, for them this will be easy. Kirishima stated. All of the teachers were ordered to hold back against us, otherwise we would have been easy pickings at moments, he added. I wouldn't be so sure if I were you, Aizawa stated. Sure, we all held back, especially Power Loader, Snipe and Nizu. They could easily kill some of you if they wanted, however don't forget about Izuku. He won against Endeavor the number 2 hero and overpowered him in raw power. In raw power alone he isn't too far off from All Might, Aizawa stated. However, that lightning makes Izuku faster and more flexible than All Might, and his close combat moves count as 2 moves. There is the force of his punch but also the lightning aftermath to count, Aizawa stated. All Might has been ordered to not hold back. Those 2 are in terms of skill, the top we have in our class, the come close to the big 3, maybe even equal if not better. To top it off, Izuku has surpassed everyone in this school in terms of power, speed, flexibility, but he also has the most experience in fights, Aizawa explained. So Izuku is actually a teenager with the power and experience of an adult pro hero? Is that what you're saying? Mirio asked. Basically yes, as of now doesn't really have a weakness in battle, however he does have a weakness outside of that which could cost him someday, Aizawa stated. What would that be? Nejire asked. Depending on the person, his feelings to protect, Aizawa stated. We know he came here kind of depressed, and lately he's been really opening up to everyone. However, his longing to protect also became stronger. Nejire, we all know you two have a relationship, but if, say, a villain would take you away the moment he finds out about it, and a clue about where you are, he'll be already there before any of us can make a move, even if it's a trap, Izawa explained. So his feelings for me are his weakness? Nejire asked sadly. I wouldn't say it like that. Those feelings might also be able to save him someday. He has a reason to stay alive, a reason to not give up, a reason to keep going no matter what, Izawa stated. But if this exam is about to be able to go to the license exam, and facing your weakness, why are those two together? And why are they facing All Might? Tamaki asked. Because we have no one strong enough to face those two. Bakugo on his own wouldn't be able to take All Might, he lacks the speed and power to do so. However, we all know how Izuku fought against that Nomu at the he was handling it better than All Might was. It's either because Izuku is stronger, or All Might has been weakened that much, Izawa explained. One thing is for sure, Izuku is definitely faster, he said. All right, begin. Izuku and Bakugo heard. Here he comes, Izuku stated. Bakugo looked a bit surprised. Straight ahead. Izuku stated as he and Bakugo both shot their quirk at All Might and launched him back. You can see him? Bakugo asked. Well, I can actually move faster than he does, so I'm able to see him, yeah, and I know you have the reflection speed to counter him even if you can't see him, Izuku stated. Is that right? All Might asked as he appeared Izuku and slammed down on Izuku. However, when he did, Izuku disappeared. I told you that I can see your moves. Izuku stated seriously as he kicked All Might to the head from behind him. All Might got launched away as he crashed in the ground but still didn't stop. Once he did stop and the dust cleared, it looked like an airplane had crashed against the ground as it had destroyed the ground and leaving a line like a crater towards where All Might stopped. Everyone looking gasped after seeing this. This boy is incredible, Recovery Girl stated. He sure is, Nizu stated as he suddenly appeared. I told All Might to go all out, he was skeptical about it, however this should show him that he really has to, Nizu stated. All Might got up. Man, young Izuku really isn't pulling any punches here, he's really fighting seriously, Nizu was right, I shouldn't hold back, if I do, I might get in trouble, All Might stated. You still want to fight? Izuku asked. All Might then appeared in front of him but was blasted away as Bakugo used a huge explosion. Once he landed, he immediately shot back towards them. Bakugo shot a barrage of explosions to keep All Might away. All Might blocked them with his arms in front of him, however he then blew everything away by opening his arms with a lot of force, but this created an opening. Izuku came in closer as he placed his hand on All Might's chest. Thunderclap, he said as All Might shot back with a lot of force. He managed to stop himself from being launched too far back as Bakugo immediately used the opportunity to attack. All Might was shaking in place. What did he just do to me? All Might thought as his arms were shaking quite a bit. Don't get distracted now, All Might. Bakugo shouted as he spinned around with his hands towards All Might, and every time his hands pointed at All Might he threw an explosion at him. All Might was being pushed back quite harshly as he suddenly managed to grab Bakugo and throw him away. Izuku quickly caught Bakugo and then landed. Wanna show them our new super moves? Izuku asked. Sure, let's show them something badass, Bakugo stated. Super moves? You two really are taking this seriously, aren't you? All Might stated seriously. Bakugo held up his right hand as he placed his left hand in front of it and opening a little spot on his hand. All Might, be sure not to die from this, Bakugo stated. AP shot. He stated as a beam of his explosive power shot at All Might. All Might and everyone else except Izuku looked shocked at the move and power it held. All Might managed to block it with his fist, but only by combining the punch with air pressure. All Might was breathing heavily from using so much power. Your turn, Izuku, Bakugo stated. Izuku hesitated for a moment. All Might, he said. What is it? Young Midoriya, he asked. This is just an exam, so I want to ask you right now, before I risk killing you, Izuku stated as everyone had wide eyes. Are you able to take on a stronger hit than that? Or have you used too much power? Izuku asked in a serious tone. You won't kill me so easily, young Izuku. Don't worry about it, act like I'm a villain, All Might stated. All Might, I'm serious, we could easily win like we are fighting now, but I want to show you my power, this move of mine. It really can kill you if you're not at full power, so if you're not able to bring out your full power, then I won't use it. Izuku stated. Is his attack really that powerful? Mirio asked. Aizawa nodded. I don't know what it is. He asked Ectoplasm to help him with clones. However, Ectoplasm was terrified of his power and told him that his clones was ripped to shreds, Aizawa stated. I'm able to use full power, so come at me with everything you've got, All Might stated seriously as he really powered up to 100%, air pressure swirled around him. Don't let up for even a second, Izuku stated as he took a beastly stance. He then shot at immense speed towards All Might and gave him a heavy blow as everyone even saw the force coming off All Might's back. Izuku's lightning-created lines eventually made the form of a star, however All Might was already heavily breathing. Izuku then shot underneath All Might as he kicked up under his jaw to launch All Might up. Raging lightning demolition. Izuku stated as every point of the star he created with lightning shot multiple lightning streams which all blasted towards All Might and did some heavy impact damage as well as a lot of aftermath lightning damage. Once his attack was done, All Might fell heavily breathing to the floor with his clothes ripped to shreds. Izuku was on his knees heavily breathing. This move will really have to stay as a last resort it seems, he stated as he almost collapsed. Bakugo helped him up as they walked towards the gate to pass the exam. Izuku and Bakugo have won, was being shouted. Everyone already ran outside towards Izuku and Bakugo. Some of the students went with Aizawa, Nizu and Recovery Girl to help All Might. Dude, that move was insane, Kirishima stated. Both of you, he added quickly. My move will be a last resort though as it drains almost all my energy, Izuku stated. It's still impressive, Kirishima stated. I'll take him from you, Nejire stated to Bakugo who nodded and handed Izuku to her. She placed Izuku on his back. I'm sorry you have to carry me, I hope I'm not too heavy, Izuku stated. Who do you think you're talking to? I'm a hero too, you know, I'm strong enough to carry someone on my back, she stated. Glad to hear it, Izuku said as he placed his head in her neck on his ear. Your hair is so soft, Izuku stated as he slowly fell asleep. I'll bring him to his room, could someone show me where his room is please? She asked. I'll bring you there, Ida stated. Thank you, she stated with a smile. They both walked back to the dorm as she then brought Izuku to his room. She placed him on his bed and sat beside him on his bed. I'm really a lucky girl to have such a kind but strong boyfriend, she stated with a soft smile as she looked at Izuku. She placed a kiss on his head as she then wanted to go, however Izuku in his sleep held her hand. Please don't go, he stated in his sleep. Nejire was first surprised but then she smiled. She laid down beside him and placed her arm around him and her head against his as she just laid next to him. The day of the license had finally arrived. Izuku and his class were standing in front of the stadium where the exam would be held. Alright, are you all ready to show them what you're made of? Aizawa asked. Yes, sir. They all shouted as they walked inside. Everyone got into their hero suits and walked towards the waiting room. It was explained that there would be two parts of this exam. The first would be to place targets on their bodies and hit the other people's targets with some ball. The ball and targets were handed out as everyone placed them on. Izuku placed his on his right shoulder, under his left part of the chest, and the last on his right hip. Everyone had 2 minutes to go to the location they liked the most. Alright, let's all stay together, Izuku stated. Over my dead body, Bakugo shouted as he ran off. Kaminari and Kirishima followed him. I'm fighting on my own as well, my quirk isn't good in a big group, Todoroki stated. Why do you want us to stay together, Midoriya? Mineta asked. This will probably be a battle of schools. If so, ours has a very big disadvantage, Izuku stated. Why is that? Mina asked. The sports festival, Momo stated. Right, the sports festival is shown through the country, so everyone already knows how we use our quirks, so they'll probably go for us first, Izuku stated as he started running with the rest behind him. So what do we do now then? Ujiro asked. For now let's stick together, Izuku stated, but then they heard a loud zoomer and multiple schools showed up. Seek us to be you guys. Thanks to the sports festival we know everything about you. Shindo from Ketsubutsu Academy stated. All of the students from different schools threw ball at them. Izuku shout lightning to block the front. Tokoyami covered himself in dark shadow and swiped the ball on the right away. Momo made shields to protect the left, and Mina used her acid to stop the ball at the back of the group. Midoriya, what do we do now? There are too many. Mineta stated. Mineta is right, we'll have to think of something, Ida stated. For now we have to stand our ground, eventually they have to split us up, or they'll mess up, either way if we act now, then we'll be the ones to fail, Izuku stated. The other schools tried again, but this time using their quirks, however they managed to block all of the ball. Shindo then placed his hands on the ground and used his tremoring earth which completely destroyed the field as well as split UA, but also the other schools up. Izuku stayed together with Shoji and Jairu and Momo. They however didn't know who stayed together as well or how any of his classmates were doing. You three alright? Izuku asked. Yeah, you were right, they both messed up and split us up, Momo stated. So what do we do now? I can hear them all around us, Jairu stated. For now, we'll have to get away from here, Izuku stated. Yeah, but where to? We don't exactly have an ideal team to win this, Shoji stated. Why do you think so? Izuku asked. Well, you're a power/speed type, however Jairu and I are mostly for detection. Momo can create things but it's very limited, Shoji explained. And that's exactly why we'll make it, Izuku stated as this confused the others. What do you mean? Momo asked. Jairu can hear the enemy, and also from what direction. Shoji can use multi-arms to make his eye see while keeping his body hidden. Since the eye isn't that big, it's still hard to see for anyone else. I've got binding moves to bind the enemy so we can tag their targets. We'll just bind enough people for all of us, then we can win this, Izuku stated. You mentioned everyone but me, what do you want me to do? Momo asked a bit insecure. You can think of the best way to approach things. Also I'd like you to stay on guard for defense if we need it. You can create a strong shield. If you can block a first blow, then I'm also able to back you up, and since you know a lot, you might be able to help me with something that I tried to do, Izuku stated with a smile giving Momo a boost of confidence. Alright, but where do we put this in motion? Momo asked. Well, we'll need to tag 3 marks on 2 people, we need a place with some good hiding spots. But there also have to be quite some people, Izuku stated. We can try the city part over there? We can use the alleys and buildings, the bridge is too open, the same as for the mountain side and the water side, so that would be our best bet, or we'll have to stay between the destroyed rubble here, Momo explained. Where do you think we'll have the most success? Izuku asked. The city for sure, Momo stated. Alright, let's go there then, Izuku stated. They quickly made their way there, they then got into a tall building and got to the roof of it. Alright, so what now? Jair asked. Jair, please use your earphone jack to listen if there are enemies, Momo stated. She then plugged them into the ground as she listened. There are a few in an alley behind us, and I hear people coming up here, I'd say 2 each, Jairu stated. Shoji, keep watch over what the 2 in the alley do. Izuku, please be ready to bind the 2 people coming up, Momo stated. Izuku then created a bow made of lightning and pulled backwards ready to shoot. Then after a short time, 2 people sprinted outside. Lightning bind multi-shot, Izuku stated as he shot 2 lightning arrows towards them. The arrows made direct contact and binded them. Alright, good job Izuku. Shoji, how is it on your end? Momo asked. They got away, Shoji stated. Alright, but who will tag those 2 then? Momo asked a bit uncertain. You guys go ahead, even alone I could probably make it so I'm not too worried, Izuku stated. Well, since you made me make the decisions I'll stay with you till the end, Momo stated. Jairu and Shoji, you can tag those 2, Momo stated as they nodded and walked towards them. Momo suddenly noticed a sparkle in the distance as she immediately created a shield which was made just in time as she blocked an attack. Izuku looked and saw the sparkle. He pulled back as he made an arrow ready. Momo, do you know anything about sniping? Izuku asked. A little, depending on the distance, you'll have to take the wind into account, as well as the force you give it, and you'll have to stay still yourself, Momo stated. I see, thanks, Izuku stated as he closed an eye to aim. Not much wind, and she's not that far away if she can shoot us with such precision. I should be able to hit her if I aim at her left shoulder, Izuku thought as he aimed at the shoulder. Here goes, Izuku stated as he launched the arrow with incredible force. Shoji used his dupli arms to make some distance and saw that Izuku's arrow shot in the middle of the girl's chest. Nice shot, it landed in the middle of her chest, Shoji stated. Wow, that's inker, Jiraiya stated as Izuku suddenly shot lightning around them, blocking multiple quirk attacks. Go inside, Izuku stated as everyone did as he said. They found a room with 2 doors leading outside, as well as one going to the roof. Jiraiya, how many are there? Momo asked. Around 6, she stated. Suddenly one of the doors got burned shut with a laser. Well, 1 outweigh, and 6 enemies. If we win, then we all make it to the next round, Izuku stated. But if we don't, Shoji stated. Then we'll lose here, Jiraiya added. And all of the effort will be for nothing, Momo finished. Don't worry, I'm not letting any of you get taken out, Izuku stated. Suddenly sound waves were shot through the door as everyone started to get dizzy. Jiraiya countered it with her sound waves, pushing it back. After a while they both stopped. Everyone stick close to a wall, Izuku stated as he readied his bow. Momo, Jiraiya and Shoji quickly stood against a wall, then the door broke open. Binding arrow split shot, Izuku stated as his arrow multiplied until there were 6 arrows. 5 of them hit their target, although the last got blocked by a sword. Not bad, I expected as much from you, a girl stated as she was apparently the leader. Who are you? Izuku asked. You don't have to know, you'll drop out here anyway, she stated as she got closer. You sure about that? Izuku stated as he shot behind her in the blink of an eye. The girl expected this and slammed her sword with the back of the sword towards him. However, Izuku dodged as Jiraiya then used her sound waves to give her a headache, as well as make her drop her sword. Shoji quickly grabbed her arms as Momo made a rope and tied her up. Well, let's tag them all down, Momo stated as they all tagged their opponents and made it through to the next round. Once they got in the waiting room, Todoroki had already arrived, so did Uraraka and Shiro, then suddenly everyone else walked inside. I see everyone made it, Momo stated. Yeah, but it was close at times, Mina stated. How did it go with you guys? She asked Izuku's group. Well, ask those 2, Shoji stated. They are the reason we made it. We were boxed in by another school, Jiraiya explained. Everyone then cheered that they still all made it through, and not long after the next round was about to start. Everyone was asked to roam around the 4 areas that were part of the exam. Suddenly, when walking around, places started to blow up. A terrorist group had placed bombs and they are now exploding. It's your job to rescue the people, they heard someone announce. Izuku then noticed a building falling apart. He then saw someone fall from the building. Izuku quickly charged his lightning and jumped up to catch the falling person. Are you all right? Izuku asked. The person he caught had blood on the head, as well as cuts over his body. They were made to make the exam be as realistic as possible. Izuku quickly brought the person to the first aid station. However, once he got there and explained what had happened, a wall not too far away broke open and showed Gang Orca with a lot of crew members. Now tell me, wannabe heroes, can you save and protect at the same time? Will you save? Or will you fight? Or maybe will you run away? He asked. This is all part of the exam, Izuku stated to the other students taking the exam. We have to evacuate the first aid station, Shindo from Ketsubutsu stated. Suddenly Gang Orca as well as his crew members charged right at the first aid station. They had some sort of guns on their arms, however some didn't. Damn it, they are all able to attack long distance? Izuku stated, gritting his teeth. You sure? How do you know? Shindo asked, a bit shocked. Some of them have guns, others don't, so they'll most likely have a quirk that lets them attack long-ranged, Izuku stated. Then, how do we face that? Shindo asked, gritting his teeth. You guys get everyone to safety. Shindo and I will make the defensive line, Izuku stated. You sure? A girl with healing quirk asked. Yeah, don't worry, take them to safety, Izuku stated with a smile. You sure we can do this? Shindo asked. Depends on how strong their quirks are, Izuku stated as he charged lightning through his body. What are you doing? Shindo asked as Izuku had his arms crossed in front of his chest as he then pulled them back. Creating a barrier to keep the wounded safe, Izuku stated as he slammed his hands forward, creating a barrier of lightning in front of him which bended around the first aid station, leaving an opening at the back. This way, I can block their moves and leave the wounded a place to escape, Izuku stated. I'll need you to disrupt the crewmen and gang Orca if possible. This barrier takes some energy, however the more powerful the attacks, the more energy it takes, Izuku stated. Good to know, gang Orca stated suddenly from in front of them. Alright men. Charge everything at this barrier and break through it. Gang Orca shouted as most shot some sort of cement gun, others used powerful long-ranged quirk attacks with all kinds of elements, wind, water, ice, fire, earth. Some even managed to attack with metal and a lot more. Time for me to act, Oswell, Gang Orca stated as he stood in front of the barrier, then used his sound waves on it. The lightning blocked the sound waves, however all those barrages were giving Izuku a hard time, and every time Gang Orca joined in with his quirk, it pushed Izuku back little by little. Shindo, please do it. Izuku stated as Shindo placed his hands on the floor and disrupted everyone, including Gang Orca. You are troublesome, Gang Orca stated as he tackled the barrier. Damn it, if this keeps up I won't last long, Izuku stated as he was visibly sweating. Suddenly ice shot towards Gang Orca as this was followed by wind. Izuku looked and suddenly saw Todoroki and Inasa standing there. Finally back up, Shindo stated relieved. Can you guys hold off Gang Orca? Izuku asked. Sure, leave it to us, Inasa stated. Meanwhile Tokoyami and Ojiro showed up. You need some help? Ojiro asked. You two came just at the right moment, Izuku stated. I'll keep up this barrier as long as needed until all of the injured get away safely. Shindo hammers away at the crewmen. Todoroki, Ojiro, please take care of them. I'll join in once everyone is safe, Izuku stated. Sure, leave it to us, Ojiro stated confidently. Shindo hammered away at the crew, as Izuku then quickly opened up a little so Ojiro and Tokoyami got through. They immediately started taking down the henchmen. Izuku looked behind him and the girl from earlier was visibly worried about Izuku and the barrier. Don't worry about me, focus on the injured. I can keep this up, so please just focus on them, Izuku stated determined as she nodded with a serious face. After a while the last of the injured were taken away. Was that all? Izuku asked. Shindo looked behind them. Yeah, they're all safe, he stated as Izuku then dropped the barrier while breathing. Are you alright though? You blocked quite some attacks, Shindo asked concerned. Yeah, I can still go on, just have to catch my breath, he answered. Izuku looked at the fight between Todoroki and Inasa against Gang Orca. So far they were holding him back nicely. Izuku then decided to help Tokoyami and Ojiro, who were taking everyone down but were getting trouble from the quirk users. Tokoyami deflected the long-ranged quirks with Dark Shadow, and Ojiro got up close to knock them out. Izuku then jumped up as shot lightning from above towards the quirk users. Izuku, did everyone get away? Ojiro asked. Yeah, I'm able to move freely now. Are you guys doing alright? Izuku asked. Yeah, those quirk users were trouble, but from here on we can handle it. Help Todoroki against Gang Orca, Ojiro stated. At that moment Izuku noticed Gang Orca shooting down Inasa from the sky and he was about to finish off Todoroki. Izuku quickly shot lightning at Gang Orca while appearing closely behind him. Get away from him, Izuku stated seriously from behind Gang Orca. He was hit by the lightning and felt the damage. However, he felt a cold chill on his back when Izuku stated that so coldly. So, you've managed to make the injured escape and even took some of my men out. Do you really think you still have the energy to stop me, Oswell? Gang Orca asked. I'm standing right in front of you, so you tell me, Izuku stated. Don't get arrogant, boy. Gang Orca stated as he shot his sound waves at Izuku. However, Izuku appeared behind him. Gang Orca turned around but Izuku then shot back to Gang Orca's back again. Izuku appeared just a bit in front but also underneath him. He looked down at Izuku but right at that moment Izuku appeared above Gang Orca and kicked him to the head. Not bad, you certainly have speed and power, and I commend you for still fighting, but that's not enough to beat me, Gang Orca stated. Suddenly wind swirled around Inasa as fire shot up from Todoroki. Inasa then shot his wind towards Todoroki as the wind combined with fire shot at Gang Orca, creating a tornado of fire. Not bad, it really is a great combination. However, do you still think this will be enough? Gang Orca shouted. If that's not enough, then let lightning join the party, Izuku stated as he shot his lightning at the tornado as it combined in the tornado. Izuku then made the lightning inside the tornado attack Gang Orca from multiple sides. Eventually he broke the tornado down and had sustained quite some damage. However, the moment he broke the tornado down, Izuku used the small opening it created to use his thunderclap to knock Gang Orca out. At the same time, the last remaining people were rescued and the exam was done. Everyone got to the waiting room as all the points were counted. Once the screen popped up with people that passed, everyone was overjoyed. Everyone from Class 1A had passed. Everyone was then awarded their hero license. Afterwards, Class 1A gathered again before changing into their normal clothes. But then Izuku suddenly got called. He looked at his phone and saw it was Nejire. Hey Nejire, what's up? We're done with the exam and we're just about to head back, Izuku stated as he picked up the phone. However, when he heard a response, his face turned pale as a cold chill ran over his spine. Hello Izuku Midoriya, it's been a while. Hello Izuku, it's been a while, Tamura Shigaraki suddenly said through the phone. You're probably wondering what happened to your little girlfriend, don't you? He asked. Izuku muted his mic on his phone. Aizawa sir, does this license count as of right now? Izuku asked curiously. Yeah, why do you? Aizawa started as Izuku suddenly ran off. Izuku? Where are you going? Aizawa asked. He unmuted his mic. What did you do to her? Izuku asked seriously. So far, nothing, well except beating her to take her with us, Tamura stated as he enjoyed it. You'll pay for this Shigaraki, Izuku stated. Oh, is that right? Why don't you come get her then? Shigaraki asked. I will, Izuku stated. Good, we've already sent the location in a message. I'll see you soon Izuku, Tamura stated through the phone as he hung up. Izuku was still running through the hall as Mirio suddenly called. Mirio, what happened? Izuku asked immediately. Nejire has been taken away. Mirio answered. I know, Tamura Shigaraki just called me. I'm heading there right now, Izuku stated. Izuku, I know you'll go either way, but be careful, this will most likely be a trap, Mirio stated. I know and I will, thanks Mirio, Izuku stated. He hung up and looked at his messages as he looked for the location. So why are you following me? Izuku suddenly asked. So you noticed me? I'm not letting you walk into a trap alone, Bakugo stated as he ran behind Izuku. What does this all have to do with you? Izuku asked. I'm just coming as backup, we fought together against All Might, I'm just making sure you won't kick the bucket in this fight. If someone is going to beat you it will be me. Bakugo stated. Alright then, Izuku stated. So what's this about anyway? I saw you running off and having a call twice. I know you're heading towards a trap from villains, but the question is why, Bakugo asked. Izuku then noticed another message. It was a picture of Nejire bleeding from her head as well as bruises on her face. Izuku threw his phone to Bakugo as Bakugo caught it. That's the reason, Izuku stated. Bakugo frowned after seeing the picture. You sure you'll be alright then? Bakugo asked. I'll save her and stop the league, Izuku stated as they got outside. So where is the location? Bakugo asked. Scroll down, the location is there, Izuku stated. Kamino Ward? That's not too far off, Bakugo stated. Exactly, I'm going there right now, Izuku stated. You still want to come? Izuku asked. I'm not chickening out, I still have to pay them back from that attack at the USJ, Bakugo stated with a grin. Let's use our quirks, it'll be faster, Bakugo stated as he jumped up then quickly created explosions to fly. Izuku charged his lightning as he sped up and jumped on a roof. He then ran and jumped from roof to roof. It didn't take them too long to reach the front yard of the factory that was there. Ah, so you came, and you even brought a friend. Well, I made someone come as well, Tamura stated as he pointed towards the sky as he then saw a helicopter. Great, journalist, Bakugo hissed. In the meantime, Aizawa had made it back to UA with his students. Once back, Aizawa was immediately met with Mirio, who was worried. Mirio? What's wrong? Aizawa asked. You have to see this. Mirio stated as he ran back to the dorm. Aizawa followed him, and so did the rest of Class 1A. Once they got in the dorm and looked at the TV, they noticed the helicopter flying above a factory with a pretty big front yard that would almost be big enough for a soccer field. Aizawa then noticed the League of Villains walking out of the factory, but then he saw two people standing on the opposing side. He looked closely and noticed it was Bakugo and Izuku. What are Izuku and Bakugo doing there? Aizawa asked concerned. I don't know about Bakugo, but Izuku is there because Nejire was taken away. We were walking back to UA after being in the city when we suddenly got ambushed from an alley. They managed to knock her out and take her away, Mirio explained. Damn it, that's why he asked if the license would start immediately, Aizawa stated, gritting his teeth. Meanwhile, back at Izuku and Bakugo. Where is Nejire? Izuku asked. She's right here, Tamura stated as Muscular showed up as he held up an unconscious Nejire by her neck. Izuku then disappeared as Muscular was launched into a wall. Then Izuku appeared again but holding Nejire bridal style in his arms, all in the blink of an eye. Oh, touched a nerve, I see, Tamura provoked. Not bad, kid, but you'll have to do better, Muscular stated as he launched at Izuku covered in muscle veins. Izuku just stood there as Bakugo blasted Muscular in the face, blowing him away from Izuku. Suddenly the other members of the league appeared around them through warp gates. I see the other clowns decided to show up, Izuku stated. Who are you calling a clown? Dabi stated as he was clearly offended. Did I offend you, Mr. Burned all over, because I think it looks cool? Izuku stated. You really dare provoking us? Muscular asked. Shut up, Scarface, Izuku said. Guess you really got to him this time, Tamura, Toga stated. You'll soon regret doing this to her, Izuku said. Oh yeah? And how will you make us regret it? Tamura asked as more portals showed up as the four Nomus walked out. You're completely surrounded and outnumbered, and you have to protect that girl, Tamura stated, amused. Underestimating us will be what makes you lose, Bakugo stated, making small explosions. Luckily, both Izuku and Bakugo still had their hero suits on. This gives them a little advantage, but that didn't take away that they were heavily outnumbered with the injured Nejire. You're an easy picking with this many people and that girl, Muscular stated. Time for some payback from last time, he added. I don't need my hands to kick your butt, Izuku provoked. Big words for a corpse. Muscular stated as he charged at Izuku again. Suddenly Izuku disappeared and appeared again, but when he did he kicked Muscular in the stomach as he then kneed him in the face and heel kicked the back of his head, launching him towards Bakugo, who literally blew an explosion in his face, then slamming Muscular in the ground. You were saying? Izuku asked, still holding Nejire. Suddenly the four Nomu started attacking. I'll take care of those, Bakugo stated. He first flew towards the first, giving it a barrage. He dodged the second Nomu's punch, grabbed its fist and slammed it into the ground. He placed his hand over his shoulder and shot an explosion towards the third Nomu in his back. Then he threw a big explosion towards the fourth. Bakugo was handling them easily. Eventually he got them in one spot and pulled the pin from his gauntlet, destroying them completely. That takes care of them, Bakugo stated. Dabi then shot his flames at Bakugo, but he blew an explosion towards them without looking, creating a smokescreen. Suddenly Izuku shot through it, kicking him in the head. Izuku then launched towards Toga as he kneed her in the solar plexus as she gasped for air. He then kicked her to the head, launching her at twice as he drop-kicked both of them into the ground. Bakugo had blasted Compress, harshly knocking him out, as well as destroy Magna and Spinner's weapons. He then grabbed their heads and smashed them against each other as he then blew them both away. That just leaves you and Kurogiri, Tamura Shigaraki, Izuku stated, and would you look at that, we beat your entire group with ease, even while holding Nejire like this, he added as Nejire slowly opened her eyes. Ow my head, ha Izuku? Why you here? What happened? Where are we? What am I doing here? Ah, you had the license exam, how did it go? Wait, what's going on? She bombarded him with questions. Suddenly the factory exploded and a man flew up from the smoke. It seems we underestimated their strength, Tamura Shigaraki. You can pull back with your group, I'll take care of things here, the man stated. But Emsu, we can still fight. And your body isn't strong enough to fight anymore, Tamura stated. They will easily defeat you too as well as you are now. You have to pull back, get stronger and fight again, the man stated. Are you the final boss here? Bakugo asked. Yes, I'm the boss of the League of Villains, but you may call me All for One, the man stated. Izuku placed Nejire on the ground as Izuku concentrated on All for One. Something about him gave him a bad feeling. Now Kurojiri, I want you to take them all away to a faraway distance, All for One stated. I will, sir, Kurojiri stated as he warped the knocked-out members while creating a warp behind Tamura and himself. Please Tamura Shigaraki, we have to go now, Kurojiri stated. Teach, I'll be back Izuku, the next time I will kill you. He stated before walking off. Youth, they can be so bold at time, but he was naive to think he could beat you as you are now, Izuku Midoriya, All for One stated. You seem to know about me, just what do you know? Izuku asked. About you? Almost everything from the moment you know about your quirk, to the attacks from the villains, to you joining UA, I even know about what your mother did for you, All for One stated as Izuku's eyes widened. My mother, where is she? What did you do to her? Izuku shouted. Izuku, calm down, please, Nejire stated as she placed a hand on his shoulder. Answer me, damn it. What did you do to her? Izuku asked again. Nothing yet, All for One stated as he held out his hand. Suddenly black matter appeared in front of him as suddenly Izuku's mother appeared. She started coughing as the dark matter also shot out of her mouth. Izuku shouted. Izuku's mother was breathing. Ifo then grabbed her neck before she fell to the ground. Let my mother go. Izuku stated. You know, I've kept her alive just for this moment, All for One stated. What do you mean? Izuku asked with wide eyes in surprise. To see you despair as you see your beloved mother die in front of you, All for One stated as his other head turned into a bone-like spear. All for One then pierced Izuku's mother from behind as the bone-like spear went through her body. His mother was shaking heavily from the pain as she had tears in her eyes. She had tears in her eyes as she then coughed blood. No. Izuku stated with tears in his eyes. Bakugo, Nejire and everyone watching was looking horrified, gawking and wide-eyed. All for One then released his mother as she fell to the floor. Izuku took a few steps. Mom. Izuku stated, still shocked as he couldn't believe it. Suddenly All for One created a strong move which exploded on top of Izuku's mother as Izuku's eyes widened after seeing that. When the smoke cleared, Izuku's mother was gone. Mom. 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 Izuku shouted. Nejire placed her hand on his shoulder again as she wanted to hug him. Izuku, however, placed his hand on her shoulder to keep the distance between them. Bakugo, Izuku stated. What is it? He asked. Take Nejire. And go to a safe distance. Protect her with your life, Izuku stated. What about you? Bakugo asked. Just go. Izuku stated with pure rage. Bakugo got a cold chill after hearing that. He quickly grabbed Nejire's arm as he then ran off. Eventually they used their quirks and landed on a roof far enough to be out of range, but close enough to see. First you attack me when I'm a little kid. Then you send villains after me for years. You kidnap and hurt my girlfriend and then kill my mother right in front of me, Izuku stated. Those are decisions you're going to start regretting right now, Izuku stated as he looked up with glowing eyes. Suddenly lightning spiked from Izuku's body. Strong, thick lightning swirled around his body as it also shot around him in the area. Wow, Nejire said. I've never seen him like this, she stated. That's because Izuku has been pushed over the edge just now. What we see now is probably his full power, Bakugo stated as he sweated nervously. This is bad, Aizawa stated as he watched the lightning shooting from Izuku. What's happening to Izuku? Momo asked concerned. He said, and probably using his full power right now, Aizawa explained. You mean he's always been holding back? Zero asked. Zero, really, look at the screen, do you think he could go full power if that happens with us around? Ida stated. So that's why Bakugo and Nejire retreated, Mirio stated. He may have power now, but there is no way to back him up like this, Tamaki stated. Let's just watch and hope for the best, Aizawa stated, clenching his fists. Your name is all for one, right? Izuku asked as he was barely able to speak from his rage. Izuku's eyes were filled with rage, but he also had still tears in his eyes. Today will be the day that you're going down for good, Izuku stated. I'd like to see you try, boy, Fo stated as he disappeared. Izuku slapped his hand behind his shoulder as he blocked a kick. He then grabbed in front of him and grabbed Afo's punch. He then kicked Afo in the gut. Izuku then created a lightning bolt in front of Afo's face and shot it at point-blank range. Fo got launched away as Izuku suddenly shot from above as he kicked Afo into the ground with both his legs. He then grabbed the weird mask and lifted Afo up. Lightning clap, he stated after placing his hand on Afo's chest. Once the attack hit, Fo suddenly coughed up blood. In case you're wondering, this is different from my usual thunderclap. Thunderclap makes the nerves and muscles numb. It can knock a person out. Lightning clap is an offensive attack and attacks a person from inside out. That attack just now was an attack at your lungs, Izuku stated. All for One quickly used an air cannon at Izuku, who was then blown away. Dark matter. All for One shouted as suddenly an enormous ball of black mass shot towards Izuku. It broke through the ground like it was wet paper. Izuku was about to take the full blow as All Might suddenly appeared in front of him and blocked the attack with a punch. However, this immediately took a huge toll on All Might and his power. I'm sorry, young Midoriya, because I didn't finish him off years ago when I had the chance. This happened, so let me finish this. All Might stated, breathing as steam was already coming from his body. What can a dying man do? All for One shouted as he created two monster arms with multiple quirks combined in them. All for One created another dark matter, but this time it was far stronger. All Might countered it with full power. It pushed him back quite far and burned some of his clothes as well as some skin from his arm. The attack exploded, creating a large smoke screen as Izuku suddenly shot through it, grabbing All for One's head. Izuku used his lightning to shock All for One as he slammed All for One into the ground. You wanted to finish this piece of CRP, then do it. Izuku shouted as All Might appeared from the sky. United States of Smash. He shouted as Izuku shot away in time with his lightning. The attack was done. All Might had returned to his skinny form for the world to see. Izuku quickly appeared behind him and pulled him away, which was just in time as two giant fists slammed against each other. That was a mighty blow, but not enough to finish me off. All for One stated as he got up while shaking. You've lost your chance to finish me off, now you wanna be heroes. Die. All for One shouted as he placed his hands together, creating dark matter. However, this time it was far stronger and bigger as All for One used 100% on it. Raging Volt, max power, Izuku stated as he created a ball of lightning from his hands as he stood in front of All Might. Are you really going to try and counter that? Don't. He's too strong. He even took my full power head on and is still standing. All Might stated as he breathed and coughed some blood. I won't lose to him. He hurt Nejire, the girl most precious and dear to me, and he killed my mother right in front of me. There is no way I'll let someone like him get away or win. Izuku stated as his lightning intensifies. Dark matter. Raging Volt. They both shouted as the attacks shot at each other. Everyone watching saw the two extremely powerful and enormous attacks slowly getting closer to each other as they eventually clashed. The clash created an insane air pressure which blew away some buildings in the surroundings. Izuku stood firmly on the ground. However, because of the force of his attack, he broke through the floor and was even pushed back while cracking through the floor behind him. All for One had the same. You created the League of Villains and made so many people suffer, Izuku stated as his blast began pushing All for One's attack back a bit. You took my girl and hurted her badly, he added as his attack gained even more power. Thanks to you, my mother died, and there is not even anything left to bury. You'll regret everything you've done. Izuku shouted as his attack suddenly began pushing back All for One's attack a lot. And you'll regret even trying to defy me. All for One shouted back as he placed more power in his attack as it was now slowly pushing back Izuku's attack. Suddenly Nejire stood behind Izuku as she placed her hands next to his. Full power, she stated as she shot her energy around Izuku's raging volt to increase the power. Suddenly Bakugo appeared behind All for One. "This is for my Aunt Inko, you bastard!" Bakugo shouted as he pulled the pin from his gauntlet as an insanely powerful explosion shot at All for One's back. The blast caused a lot of damage and brought him off balance as Izuku and Nejire managed to use more power and completely overpower All for One. All for One's dark matter was destroyed and he was hit by the full blow from Izuku and Nejire's joined attack. It created an immense explosion launching All for One up. Izuku quickly jumped towards him. Raging lightning devastation. Izuku shouted as he shot at All for One with moves like that of a wild animal, but also a bit like slashes. Izuku attacked All for One from all sides as he eventually created a ball of lightning with a lot of points in it. Izuku landed on the ground as then all the points started shooting lightning at All for One with incredible power. After a while All for One's body was just being slammed around by the lightning and Izuku stopped his attacks. All for One's body fell down like a rag doll. Izuku went towards him and noticed he was still alive, but he was badly injured and unconscious. "I'm sorry, Mom, I couldn't save you. I wish I would have known where you were sooner. I could have saved you, but I let you down, and I let you die. I'm really sorry for that, but I've taken down the person responsible for all of this, and I'm still safe, so I hope you can rest in peace," Izuku stated as he watched towards the sky. Nejire placed her arms around Izuku from behind him. "I'm sure she can rest peacefully now. It's not your fault. Thanks to you the person responsible has been taken down. You won, Izuku," Nejire stated as she cried in his back. Izuku fell to his knees and started crying as well before he gave a loud shout out of anger, pain and sadness. "You were amazing, Izuku, I'm proud of you and thanks for saving me," Nejire stated. "Leaving you here was out of the question. You dear to me, I love you more than anyone in the world," Izuku stated. He then turned around towards her. "I love you too, Izuku," she answered as she kissed him. Once they kissed, Izuku passed out from using all of his energy as Nejire just held him close to her. A lot had happened in a short time, but it was finally over. However, the League of Villains got away, and there was no telling when they would show up again. However, for now, victory was theirs.